Information is power. Tell the truth. The truth.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Information is power.
Tell the truth.
What's up, everybody? Peace. Peace, everybody. Okay, everybody, peace. Thank you for your patience. What I'm going to do is get right to the point. I won't make this a long stream, keep you up all night. I thank you all for hanging in there, waiting for me to come on tonight. It is Friday night, so some folks don't have to worry about work in the morning, so they can ride it out with me tonight. I have some very interesting data that I want to put forth to everybody. What I'll do is I'll say peace, love to everybody in the chat room. I'm going to name people's names tonight. But I'm going to get some data out to you that's going to be mind-opening. I got to be honest, I've got to say that Yvette Carnell of Breaking Brown inspired me to go ahead and do a similar video. She knows the data. She's worked in politics. Her and Tone Talks got a great thing going with the ADOS movement, American Descendants of Slavery. And so I was watching her show this week, and she brought up some things that was very interesting about this election, but mainly about how black people, our votes have been clearly taken for granted, even in this election. And I'm going to bring out the reasons why. I'm going to pull up some statistics. These statistics are backed up by the Washington Post. These are statistics that you can look up for yourself and you can examine them. While the Democratic Party spends all its time sort of catering to other groups, particularly immigrants and illegal immigrants, because they see them as the future, especially when it comes to the voting polls. Tonight, I'm about to present to you, as was inspired by Breaking Brown, inspired me to go ahead and do this for my audience who have not seen this information. It comes to reality that the Democratic establishment has been chasing its tail, trying to figure out a way to make the black vote irrelevant while chasing other ethnic groups that they feel are going to support them, while at the same time undervaluing, underestimating, and marginalizing the black vote, and they've been doing it for some time. The reason why Joe Biden is in this situation right now where he's going neck and neck with Trump, and in some cases he's winning in certain areas, and he's at a point where he may just win this election. I mean, he's at 263, I believe. No, he's at 253, and he just needs Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia area that has come through for him. You know why that area has come through for him, ladies and gentlemen? Because that area in Pennsylvania, Philly in particular, is made up of a high population of black people, as well as Georgia, which is a slim margin there. And you notice that Donald Trump, he focused on those particular two states because he knew that those are areas that have a lot of black people who were and most likely going to vote Democratic, because that's been something that black people have done traditionally, although originally our ancestors were Republicans, or black people historically have been conservative in our values, okay? And so you see the suppression of the votes, where this is why Donald Trump did not want there to be mail-in ballots, because most of the votes that are coming in, from what they're saying all over the news, you've been listening to it, folks like me, is that most of the votes seem to be more Democratic. Okay. Of course, there's some things going on in Arizona right now, which traditionally is a red state, and we don't know which way that's going to go. You got people out there carrying their guns, standing outside the election center with guns, arguing with each other. It's mainly white folks out there arguing. I recommend black folks not to get involved in any of the shenanigans and the foolishness out here in these streets over this election. It ain't worth losing your life over arguing with fools on the street. And at the same time, it's not even worth arguing with people on YouTube. I notice a lot of Trump support, especially black. A lot of them, I see them, they're on YouTube crying and whining about this situation. Don't waste your time, because these elections come every 4 and 8 years, and we're always, black people in particular, voting for the lesser of the two evil. And we're always we're not selecting presidents; they're being selected for us, and we're simply electing either one of the bullshit that we're trying to put into office. And then we black folks have had to bust our asses to try to get these candidates, especially the Democratic Party, to do something for us, that when we put them in office. Now you look at Doug Jones, who just got booted out of the Senate, I believe. He got put in there by black women primarily, and black men, at the tune of 92% or so in Alabama, somewhere in there. You know, my math could be off a little bit, but it was black women that put him over the top, with black men as well. Although they didn't talk about black men as much, when black women only outdid black men by a couple percentage points. But now Doug Jones is booted out. And my question is, as a Democrat that he was, what did black men and black women in particular get out of Doug Jones when he was in the Senate? I have yet to hear that. I have yet to know what he really has done. Let me go ahead and give some love to people in the chat room. We've got Wildflower Wisdom Conversation coming in the house. TMT is in the house. Beverly Pam is in the house. Earl Owens is in the house. I know it's late night for some folks, so you know I'm not expecting a large crowd over here. Maybe people will come in as they please. But brother Tone Malone is in the house. We got Reg REGG in the house. Jay Dunn, thank you for being here. Alexander is in the house. Discussions with Dana. Sister, I subscribe to your channel, by the way. You got some good stuff going on over there. So thank you for coming over tonight. We've got Jay Dunn. She says, I keep hearing folks speaking about how Hispanics and Latino votes is the reason why so many states have flipped. People fail to give our votes the credit that we deserve. Jay Dunn, that's exactly where I'm going with this tonight. The reason why Joe Biden is in this kind of pickle right now is because the Hispanic vote or the Latino vote is not solely loyal to the Democratic Party. We know what the Cubans did in Florida. They gave it to Trump. This is the thing we see. This is what we've done wrong, and I have to give kudos to Yvette Carnell about this on her show. She said that black people in America, ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, we are a unique group. We built this country. This country was built on our backs. We are the foundational people of this society, okay? You have Latinos or Hispanics who everyone will say, oh, they're a group. Actually, they are very, very different. Cubans are different from Mexicans. Puerto Ricans and Mexicans are different from each other. These are people, you might want to call it Latin America. I know in California, and when I was in college, you had people that would say, no, I identify myself as La Raza, right? Or Chicano. It depends on where you are. See, that's what I'm saying. They have, depending on where they are, whether it be Mexico or where they are from in South America, many people within that group, if you can call them a group, have different various opinions and views. It's a different culture. You can't really put them all in the same box. People that are Mexican in California have way different views and attitudes than you would say the Cubans in particular in Florida. And then the black Cubans, who nobody talks about, they have a different attitude and projection than the white Cubans that you have in Florida, and so on and so forth. And so the Democratic Party, what they've been calculating falsely is that they somehow think that, okay, we're gonna do for DACA. We're gonna allow people that came to this country illegally to stay here and give them citizenship. Now, I don't know anywhere in the world, okay, this is no shade, but this is just the facts. There is no country in the world that you can break the laws coming into that country and you can just stay there and expect to be able to stay when you broke the law. I can't go to France. I can't go to Germany as a black man, any of these other countries in Europe or any other country, probably even in South America, and think that I'm going to stay there and then put my foot down and say, hell no, I don't want to go. I want to be a citizen. There's no way in the world you can do that. But in America, this has been happening. Now, some of you out there listening to me would say, well, man, you're making an argument for Donald Trump because Donald Trump, that's why he wanted to build a wall and all this. First of all, walls don't keep anybody out. Most of the people that sneak into California come in through underground tunnels and stuff like that, like through Arizona, New Mexico, places like that. Okay, nobody's really climbing over a wall. So, yet Donald Trump decided to use military budget to build this wall. And although I agree that immigration laws have to tighten up, immigration impacts black people. Now, I know I told you all that I was going to do an immigration show. I end up moving that back to Tuesday night, which is going to be great for me because I'm going to be off Wednesday night. So it's going to be great for me to do that show Tuesday night. I wanted to do this show instead because this show puts what I'm going to do next Tuesday in complete perspective. Okay, let me show you something right here before I put these other statistics up tonight. Tonight is going to be educational. I want you to look at these statistics that I'm going to put on the screen. I want you, if you need to look at this video, share it with people. This is a very important video. and I was inspired by Breaking Brown. She has a great show. The data over there that she puts out is important. But let me, I want to show you guys something, or put something on the screen that I'm going to use on my immigration show next week. Now, hopefully this will show up like I want it to. Or let me do this. Let me go with this. Okay. So this is in Joe Biden, because I'm under the I'm under the belief that Joe Biden is getting in office. I don't think Donald Trump has a chance. All the votes that are coming in through the county that Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania, it all looks like it's going to go Biden's way. If he gets to 20 electoral college, he's got it. He's got the 270. And there ain't nothing that Donald Trump can do. He can whine all day. He can hire all the lawyers he wants. Ain't nothing that he can do. No, Joe Biden in his plan says the modernization of the modern American immigration system, as President Biden will commit significant political capital finally to deliver legislation to immigrant reform to ensure that the United States remains open to all immigrants. Okay. Now, what I want to also show you, which will be also part of my show on Tuesday, is let me show you this video, which is a very important video. Let me show you this video right here when Biden was asked a question during the debates. This was during the Democratic primaries when he was debating to become, the nominee to run for president. And the reason why he got that nomination is because Clyburn in South Carolina, they endorsed him, and it was black folks in South Carolina that put Joe Biden over the top. Now listen to this right here. This is very serious.
Vice President Biden, do you support reparations?
Oops. Let me take something off the screen real quick here. Give me just a moment. I know what went wrong. Give me just a moment. I'm going to play a little bit of music while I get it together.
Information is power.
All right. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America, and we should invest in them. Everybody will benefit from it, every single American, and you should get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. That's why we're who we are. That's what makes us different, and we should invest in them.
Thank you, Mr. Biden. Senator Clovis.
Information is power. You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Okay. I played that. And everybody, let me know if you can hear me by putting a 1 in the chat room. Let me know if my sound is coming through nice and crisp. Just put yes, the sound is good. Now, I played that because during the Democratic primaries, when he was running to get nominated, he was asked a direct question. Joe Biden, what about reparations? Are you prepared to recognize that reparations is needed? It is a debt that this country owes black people. ADOS, ADOS, and you notice that he never answered the question. He sidebarred the question, and he jumped right to immigrants. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, whoever's out there listening, aliens in space. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. This is some nonsense, because Joe Biden did not answer the question. He basically marginalized, underestimated, undervalued, just which is exactly on my thumbnail. He underestimated, undervalued black people by not answering a question that was fundamentally about black people. That question had nothing to do with immigrants. What the hell is wrong with this planet that we live on called Earth? What the hell's wrong with it, ladies and gentlemen? Why can't black people simply get anything that is tailored to what we want? And this is the truth of the matter. This is the truth of the matter. While Democrats continue to capitulate to trying to appeal to these immigrants or other people of color, which that's the big word that the Democrats were saying this year, people of color. And the reason why I'm doing this video tonight, because I know there's going to be my critics out there that's saying, oh, come on, man, is that, yes, Joe Biden looks like he's going to be the new president. But this is something that we need to keep in mind, because the Democrats, along with Kamala Harris, have to be held accountable to our agenda. Even Kamala Harris said out of her own mouth, and you already know this, that one of the first things she wants to do is deal with the DACA and all the immigrant stuff. When she was asked, what was it, a couple of years ago, or when she was running to be the president for the Democrat nomination, she was on the grill, and she was asked, what about reparations for black people? And she got into all this other stuff and said, so no, I'm not going to do something just for black people. Once again, we can't get a bone thrown our way. Now, let me put these statistics up here to let you see something that pisses me off about this. And this is what so when Joe Biden gets is confirmed to be the president, black people out here that are going to be giddy and jumping up and down and buck dancing and being happy that he actually got Donald Trump out of the White House. We don't really have time as black people to be dancing and buck dancing and getting all giddy when the first thing we need to be doing when he steps foot into the office is we need to be preparing our strategy to hold their asses to the fire, because it was black people in this in this country who put Joe Biden where his ass is. It was not these other groups that the Democrats keep capitulating to while undermining us. But then they know how to use black politicians and black folks, all the black people that you've been seeing on the ads. They'll make us do the campaigning and do the hard work. And we got to make them do the work for us. So let me show you something that is a trip here. Let me put this on the screen here, and let's do this. Okay, right here, black men. Now, black men, these are by percentages. 80% of black men in America. So everybody was jumping on black men and saying how black men need to get it together because black women are voting Democratic and black men are all voting for. Not all black men voted for Donald Trump. Let's put that nonsense away. 80% of black men took 80% of black men put their votes towards the blue. What is the blue? Joe Biden. Okay, you got 5%. Now you had 18% towards Donald Trump. So you had black women, you got 8% of black women voted for Trump, while 91% of black women voted for Joe Biden. Okay? Latino men voted at 36% for Trump, 61% for Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Still not as high as what black people are voting, right? And then Latino women, at 28%, at 28 for Trump, while you have 70% for Joe Biden. And then you got white women. If you can see the top corner, and I'll bring some more statistics down. White women, 55% of white women for Trump, and a small margin of 43% towards Joe Biden. So you still have, let me show you something else right here. So you got Latino women, all other races, 37% for Trump, 60% for the Dems. So all other races, 9% of all other races can fall into this category of what Democrats keep saying this year, people of color. What I'm trying to say is people of color, and the Latino community, their votes were half and half. They weren't stock, lock, and barrel with Joe Biden. Black people, as you can see, we still continue to vote for the Democratic Party and put our numbers up into the 90s and the 80s, where everybody else's numbers were split into 60, 30, so on and so forth. So despite the fact that the Democratic Party continues to overlook the importance of the black vote, we still continue to be, even though we're 13.4% of the population, so they say. And they keep saying that these other ethnic groups like the Hispanic or the Latino population, they're growing. The Asian population is growing. And they cater to these particular groups and they marginalize us. We continue to be the biggest supporters of this Democratic Party to date. So the question is, if we're the biggest supporters and we're putting up the biggest numbers to keep the Democratic Party in office, whether it be as president, Senate seats, Congress, all the other down ballot, because I know people were saying that some people didn't even vote for the president this year because they didn't like Joe Biden, they didn't like Trump, so they voted down ballot. So if we're voting down ballot for Democrats, the question is, what are we getting? You see, so if we're voting this way, Joe Biden can't set up on a program when he's clearly asked a question about what he's going to do for black folks when it comes to the voting, right? Joe Biden can't sit up here and give us this type of talk. Listen to this again.
I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason.
Let's hear this again.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience.
Now, once again, he was not asked about immigrants, ladies and gentlemen. You know it and I know it. He was asked about what? He was asked about, what was he asked, ladies and gentlemen? He was asked about Vice President Joe Biden. Are you for reparations? He's talking about immigrants, and the immigrants that are legally here, they're not even voting for the Democratic Party at the level that black people continue to vote for the Democratic Party. So if that's the case, shouldn't we be the first priority when it comes to what they're going to do for us? They continue to keep making other people the priority. And the reason why Joe Biden is in this pickle right now with waiting for stuff to iron out, because these other ethnic groups or other immigrants that have come here illegally in some cases and became citizens, their votes are split all over the place. Their votes, a lot of their votes are going over to Trump. While black people, we continue to give the Democratic Party a lot of our support. Even, let me just say this. In 2016, when Donald Trump won the election, Black men still voted for Hillary Clinton at 81%. Donald Trump only got 8% of the black vote. Let me show you something that's changed, though, a little bit with this situation right now. So right here, look at this, ladies and gentlemen. And let me put something back up here. Right here, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look at this right here. Black males, black men voted for Trump. There was an increase, right? So 13% of black men in 2016. Now, 8% of black people in general. That means black men, black women. But in 2016, 13% of black men voted for Donald Trump. This year, that went up 18%. Now, what did I just show you? What did I just show you, ladies and gentlemen? Let's come back over here. And let me put this back on the screen. What did I just show you? Let me see if this is the one that I want to show you. So black men, that's 18% right there for Trump. 80% of black men went over to Joe Biden. I'm going to repeat that again. So 81% of black men in 2016 voted for Hillary Clinton, and she was a very polarizing figure. All right, 81%, which was still more than voted for Donald Trump. This year, black men, 18%. It went up from 13% to 18% this year. So slightly black men said they weren't going with Joe Biden, right? But still, overall, there were still more black men that voted Democratic. So therefore, if black men voted Democratic at the tune of 80% compared to black women at 91%, and 80% is still a high number, there was no need for black women. There was no need for the Democratic Party to shame black men. There's no need for Maxine Warder to say she gonna scold black men for deciding to vote for Trump, because black men still came through for the Democratic Party at 80%. So there was no need to come at black men like that. There was no need to tell black men, get your butts to the polls, and give us a horrible video where you had black women who were strippers in Atlanta shaking their butt, talking about get your butt to the polls. There was no need to appeal to us with sexual window. Or there was no need to shame black men whatsoever, because we still continue to be loyal to a party, as well as black women, a party that does not see us in the equation of importance when it comes to this. Damn it, I'm going to show you this again. You're going to get this through your brains tonight. I'm not playing with nobody. I'm not playing with nobody tonight on this. Let me pull this down off of here. Okay. And let's put this back up here again. It needs to be back up here again. Once again, let this sink into your self-conscious, your conscious and your self-conscious, into your deep, dark matter brain right now.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent.
Okay. Once again, I'm going to say it again. He is going to be the president. At least it looks that way. He was asked a direct question, and he says, look, we're a country of immigrants. First of all, black people in America, ADOS, we're not immigrants. Some of us were brought over here during slavery. Some of us have ancestry that goes all the way back to thousands of years in which black people were already here on this continent. So black people, so when he says immigrants, wait a minute, last time I checked, ADOS, black people in America, we're not immigrants. So therefore, you didn't answer the question. And you notice that the person that asked him the question didn't say, hey, Vice President, you didn't answer the question. So while we're sitting up here giving them all this support, which is why Joe Biden is where he is, where he's going to possibly be putting his hands up in the air or putting his hands on the Bible and saying, I swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Okay. He's in a position because of, one, black people in South Carolina put him over the top. Black people in Philadelphia and Georgia, all these votes that are coming in is a lot of black folks. And I'm going to prove to you tonight with the data right now. Let's look at this right here. Right here, as I said. This is black people overall. Black people overall gave Trump 12% of the vote. That's black women and black men when you put them together. Overall. 87% combined with black people. Biden, 87% black. That's blacks across the board. 87%. Hispanics, they gave Donald Trump 32%. Look at that. Black people only gave him 12%. Hispanics gave Trump 32%. And they only gave Biden 66% overall as a culture, which I said earlier, when you say Latino, hey, there's a lot of different groups of people, but 66% is not in the same ballpark with 87%. I'm sorry I haven't called anybody's names in the chat room right now, like George Frazier, discussions with Dana, R&Y. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to stay focused on the presentation, on the task. Let me know in the chat room, are you with me? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Is some of this seeking in? Asians, 31% of Asians gave their support. That's 3% overall of Asians, but that's 31% of them gave their support to Trump. Why? 63%. So you got two, what you would call people of color groups, Hispanics and Asians. And I'm pretty sure there's some of these people that make up people that came here as immigrants, maybe came over here illegally and became citizens. And between the two of them, they only put 60% of their total votes as a community into Joe Biden. But yet, Joe Biden in his plan says he wants to do so much for immigrants. You heard Joe Biden there, not my words, his words, where he says, and immigrants are the future. Yes, he's right, because Asians are actually going to surpass the Hispanic population going into 2050. And oops, let me stop right there because I don't want to give all the bag away on my Tuesday show, which is important for you to listen to that broadcast, because that broadcast will make you know right now that we have to prepare our children now. Black young males and black young ladies have to be prepared for college, a skill trade, some type of skill, because when these immigrant groups increase in their numbers, you think they're going to hire you for the job? They already tend to do what they should do, which makes a lot of sense. And I'm not hating on them. Every culture should do for their people. Okay? Black people, we've got to prepare our kids for this future. Some of us won't be alive to see what I'm going to be displaying and talking to you about come on Tuesday. But our kids will. And if we don't prepare them, if they're ill prepared, I'm telling you, the future for them economically in America and where things are going racially, the demographics, all the stuff that I looked at, we are in trouble. And you already have a Democratic Party that's got all of its focus on immigration and other groups of people who they don't mind saying, this is what we're going to do for you. Okay. Even when you have people that identify with a sexual orientation, they get what they want. There's nobody telling them, well, if we do for this, just like Kamala Harris said, if we do this for this group, it's going to help all people. It's going to help black people. No, we're tired of it. We don't need what's going to help all people. We need what is due us. Now you look at this up here. Let me put something else up there for you to look at right here. Check this out. Once again, Hispanics, 32%. So Hispanics are not voting for the Democratic Party at the tune of 91%, 80% as black people are doing? No, they're not. Let's look at something else. Let's compare. Let's put the comparison up. I got a comparison up here for you. Thanks to Yvette Carnell of Breaking Brown. I want to give her the credit. Peace to her. Look at this. I want everybody in that chat room, everybody listening who's watching, I want you to look at that chart right there. This is very important. Compare the two. So black men, 18%, but 80%, 18% for Trump. Hispanics, Latino men, they were at 6% and they went 36% for Trump. 61%, this is Latino men. This is breaking down by the race, the sex, and the whole 9 yards. So Latino men voted for Trump at 36% and only 61% for Joe Biden. 80% of black men voted for Joe Biden. So once again, we need to put to rest that black men somehow are to blame if Joe Biden somehow doesn't win, or that black people are to blame. You had a bill. Check this out. This is why, racism works on the left side and on the right side, ladies and gentlemen. But look at that chart up there. Let me tell you something. Bill O'Reilly, remember Bill O'Reilly, that racist, and he got himself kicked off of television? He made a statement saying that he tried to blame black conservatives. See, white supremacy works on both sides of the equation here, left and right. He said that black people are partially kind of the blame for the fact that Donald Trump is struggling right now. So he's trying to say that black people did not come out enough for the Trump base. And so what they always do in elections is they try to blame black people. When Hillary Clinton, remember this, when Hillary Clinton did not get in office, what did they do, ladies and gentlemen? Tell me in the chat room. They blamed black people. Thank you, Discussions with Dana. She said exactly. She said exactly to Fonzo Morse. They blamed black people and said that black people were the fault for her losing. That was bullshit. Black men voted for her at 81%. Black women, I think, voted for Hillary Clinton at the tune of, once again, 90%. So black people's voting record for the Democratic Party remains consistent. Even though you had some black men out here who liked Donald Trump and were going for him, it still wasn't enough to say that black men just ran away from the Democratic Party, the Democratic plantation, as some would call it. Now, as I said, Hispanic men, 36%, 61% for Biden. Let's look at black women. Black women voted only, and black women's support for Donald Trump only went up to about 8% this time. Black women, 8% for Donald Trump, 91% for Biden. Hispanic women, 28% Hispanic women. And we know that in Florida, the Cubans, Trump had them locked down. But 28% of Hispanic or Latino women went with Donald Trump. 70% went with Joe Biden, whereas black people went up to about 91%. Now, if the Hispanic population is the largest growing, and let me take this off the screen real quick. Stay with me, folks. If the Hispanic or Latino population in America is the fastest growing population, then why is it that they only vote for the Democratic Party at 70% this time around? Or they have a consistency of voting for the Democratic Party within that 70 and 60 range. Matter of fact, when Hillary Clinton ran, they only voted for her at around 32, 36%, 20 or 26%. I think it was Asians that were around 26%, Latinos were around, they were hovering around that 26 and 36%. Okay. So if they're the biggest growing ethnic group in America, and as well as Asians, but the Democratic Party can only squeeze that out of them, and black people are only 13% of the population and other groups are outnumbering us, why is it that we're able to still outvote other ethnic groups who are outgrowing us in numbers, and yet the Democratic Party continues to cater to those groups and treat us as if we're the what do you call that? As if we're the ex-girlfriend, or that we're they treat us, once again, they underestimate us, undervalue us, and marginalize us, and they take us for granted while they're running around catering to these other groups to get them to vote for them, and these other groups are not voting for them the way they vote for us, the way we vote for the Democratic Party. So think about that, folks. Think about what I'm saying here. And I'm going to put this back on the screen again. Once again, black men vote went up 18% differences. So they went up a couple more points this year for Trump. However, black men still voted 80% for Joe Biden, and black women were at 4% in 2016, and black women went up about 8% this year. I find it interesting that black women voting for Trump went up 8%, but yet I don't hear anybody criticizing black women for even having the audacity to go over and vote for Trump. But there was a lot of pushback on black men, even though we still remain loyal to a political party that is not loyal to us. I'm saying this because Biden is about to get into office, and we need to look at this type of data and understand how we've been played by the Democratic Party once again in this election and many others. And therefore, it's time to wake up, hold them accountable, demand reparations, which we are due. And this man, who we call maybe president-elect, this man right here, we still can't get him. We need to get him to say what he needs to say, which is, black people, we need the reparations. And this is how it's going to work, folks. See, he's not going to give it to us, just like LB didn't want to let black people have the right to vote when he was in office. So black people had to do what? We had to make them do it. We had to make them. We're going to have to make this man do what we want to do, because we still, in this election, we are still the most supportive and biggest elector in this election this year. No other group has outvoted us. Even white people have not outvoted us when it came to Joe Biden. Let me show you something here further with these numbers. Right there. So this is by sex, and this came out of Washington Post, ladies and gentlemen. White men voted for Donald Trump at 58%. White men. So there's something about Donald Trump that speaks to white men. There's something about him that they like. And I think that it's because of the way he talks. He's polarizing. Excuse me. Excuse me. I just sneezed there, but I'm okay. Well, okay, I'm okay, folks. Just a little bit of sneeze there. I think it's because he's polarizing. He says the dog whistles of white supremacy. He talks like trailer trash. He puts out the dog whistle of Make America Great Again. And you know what that means. It's a dog message. So he embodies something that really does what? To ask yourself, why is it that Donald Trump is seen as so attractive to these white supremacist groups? You know, all these groups like Boogaloo Boy and Proud Boys, we didn't hear about any of these groups, but as soon as Donald Trump got into office, all these militia groups and these hate groups have felt very emboldened. Right now in Arizona, you got these same individuals, they're Trump supporters, that are running around with guns in their hands because it's an open carry state, trying to intimidate people at the polls, or intimidating people that are working to get this election, to a conclusion. Then you've got Donald Trump coming out talking about he's won when he hasn't. Very disrespectful. But look at this. White men, 58% for Donald Trump. Joe Biden only got 40% of the white male vote, where he got 80% of the black male vote. Do you understand what I'm telling you?
Tell the truth.
White women are stock, lock, and barrel with their men. This is the problem, and y'all don't want to hear this. The difference between white women or white couples, white men and white women, in comparison to black men and black women, is that white women work in unison with white men. They work as a team together. Because look at this. 32% of white men, 32% of the votes of white men, it ran up to 58% compared to 40% for Biden. White women are 33% to 32% right behind their men. And overall, it totaled to 55%. So white women voted for Donald Trump once again at the tune of 55%, whereas Donald Trump got 58% of white men, and white women only voted for Joe Biden at the tune of 43%. White women, 43% for Joe Biden. Black women, 91%. Black men, 80% for Joe Biden. You see what I'm talking about? See what I'm talking about? The Democratic Party should not be talking all of this stuff about all these other groups. They should be putting our issues, black people's issues, front line and center, because we're outvoting everybody in the percentages to be such a small population. It was white women that voted for Donald Trump in 2016 that put him over the top. 54%, I think, are the same percentages right now that white women. This is despite the fact that Donald Trump says he grabs them in the kitty cat. This is despite the fact that Donald Trump had white women that came out and said he raped them. This is despite the fact that there were several things about Donald Trump that was very questionable, but yet they still voted for him. They were still lockstep in unison with their men. That's called cooperation. Black men need cooperation from our women too. We need to be working as a team. Let me go over to here. I'm not playing with y'all tonight. So you see what I'm talking about with the numbers here. It's crazy. Let me show you something else. Let me show you. I got another surprise for you tonight, but let me show you something else. Let me turn my my phone down here. I'm sorry, folks, for the delays. Now, check this out. This is broken down by education. White men. And can everybody hear me in the chat room? Oh, the guy from Texas. I'm glad you came in, man. I wanted to shout you out. I saw you after a couple of my shows I ended. I saw you came in the chat room. I didn't get a chance to shout you out. So thank you for being here. And yes, it is facts. Let me see. Alfonso Morris says, guy from Texas, all we got to do is look at the blue and red. Mad, even in red states, the black community is all blue. Exactly. So check this out right here. Look at this chart right here, ladies and gentlemen. White men, college graduates, right? 16%, which extrapolates to 48% of them overall voted for Donald Trump. So you have college educated white men who still voted for Donald Trump, right? 50% of college educated white men voted for Joe Biden. So check that. Look at the split there. That's not that big of a difference. So you still have white men in this country, despite their education, that still decided to primarily go with Trump, where only 50% is more than 48%. But look at how close that is, neck to neck. Now, white men with some college education or less education, check this out, voted for Trump at 67%. As I said to you all before, they had something called the Southern Strategy Southern Strategy in America, in which they were the Republican Party. What they do is that they appeal to the poor and the low educated white men in the South. And what they do is they give them someone to look down upon, right? So they give them us to look down upon, black people. So Donald Trump is doing well with white men that don't have a college education or no education, because these are the white men who have either no job skills. These are the white men that are working low wage jobs. And just like in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s, they blame their status in life on the fact that, oh, black people are taking the jobs, or we got these immigrants over here, right? So they blame us for their situation. And so when Donald Trump talks that dog whistle talk, make America white again, and he talks like he's got a trailer trash mouth, they can relate to what Donald Trump talks. They can relate to how Donald Trump behaves, how he talks, because they're living vicariously through Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is what they wish they were themselves, meaning they wish they were rich. They wish they had some kind of power. So a lot of these 60% of less educated white men are the ones that you see out there in the militia groups, the ones involved in these boogaloo boy groups, the ones that feel disenfranchised, the ones that you see out there in Arizona right now walking around with their guns in an open carry state. I get that, but somehow they're walking around trying to send a message. These are guys that are little boys who are beta males, and they're using Donald Trump as their champion because he pushes the white supremacy that they themselves believe in and live by, because white supremacy and racism is a culture. It is a way of life. It is an attitude. It is a value system. And Donald Trump was able to tap into that value system when he first got elected the first time around, which is why in this election, they're saying that Donald Trump is still breaking records with getting that same support. This is why 67% of the uneducated white men. These are the ones that will call you an N-word. These are the ones that believe that you're taking opportunity from them. These are the ones who haven't amount to much. These are the ones that can't put 2 and 3 words together. Let me show you something else. Education by race. And before I get into that, someone super chatted me, so I got to do the celebration for them. Let me read what discussions what Dana says. That is why we need bold black men standing up and speaking out. Speaking out. We've got it. We got to change the black mindset and demand what we need and stop hating on those blacks not afraid. Let me see. Not afraid to speak out. Yeah. Now look, let me just get this wrong. Let me get this right. I've got no problem when it comes to our Jamaican brothers, our African brothers and sisters. I got nothing against them because I know that they're fighting for reparations against the Great Britain. I know the Jamaicans, they have CARICOM. So the brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, they're fighting for what's right for them. The brothers in the continent of Africa are fighting to get their land back. So I've got no beef with them. But I got to just say that black people in America that were born here and have lineage to this country, we have a claim. We have a stake and a claim that nobody else can claim. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and say peace.
Thank you for the super chat.
To the Equestrian Prince and who gave me a $2 super chat. Thank you.
Thank you for the super chat.
And we got the guy from Texas with the $5 super chat. Thank you.
Thank you for the super chat.
And now that you did that, I'm going to have to bring up the celebration here like I always do it. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
Tell them run it off. I wake up. Yeah. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip this. Wet. Tell them run it off. No sleep,
Thank
no
you
rest.
for the
Might
super
crash,
chat.
might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it off. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip this. Wet. Tell them run it off. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it off. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turn to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies. Thought I could trust you, I find out you tried to zone me. I'm number one up on that court, I'm Nick McGrady. The first one in, the last one out, can't call me lazy. Put in
All right, everybody. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Fantastic. Thank you for the super chat. All right, the guy from Texas came in and blessed me, the Information Man Show, with a $5 super chat. And then we have the guy, the Prince, the equestrian Prince. And oh no, my man, Black Outcast Media Broadcasting. Keep hitting on the family. Peace to you, brother. He's come in, and now I've got to give him that same hot thing. Here we go, brother. Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
Here you go, brother.
I was sending an invoice and they pay me. I need 6 rings like MJ and Tom Brady. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip this. Wet. Tell them run it off. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it off. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip this.
Thank you for the super chat.
No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it off. Y'all gon' make me take that trip way out to Europe. I call up Nigeria, come through in a hurry. Those London boys don't.
All right. Okay, brother, Black Outcast Media. Make sure you check out his channel. Thank you for blessing me with the super chat, brother. I really appreciate that. Coming through tonight. I'm cooking with grease tonight. I'm getting into this because I need my people. I don't care. I got 40 people watching me. I know it's late. I probably would have more people if I went on at a more decent time. I don't care because I'll get more people that'll watch this after the fact. I need y'all to collectively open up your brain sacs, your brain cells here, and understand how this doesn't make sense. Black people are overwhelmingly continuing to put the Democratic Party in a position like what Joe Biden is in right now, where he may possibly be putting his hands on a Bible saying, I will protect the laws of the country and blah, 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 blah. Other groups are not giving that same support, and yet they continue to marginalize us. When the question of reparations comes up, he's talking about other people. You heard me play the video tonight. It's not me saying it. He said it. Now, let me get back to where I was in the presentation. Where the hell was I in the presentation here? So right here by race. So you got white women, 55%. I went over that already with you. Then I go over this little part right here, the comparison. Now, black. Now, I did a comparison with people that are the Hispanic and Latino population. Here go black and white people side to side. Once again, look at that. 91% of black people voting Democratic to 43% of white women. Black women, 91%. White women, 43%. only 8% of black people voted for Trump versus white women at 55%. When people vote for a particular candidate, they're voting because they believe what the candidate stands for. So if Donald Trump is saying racist things out of his mouth, if he's saying dog whistles out of his mouth, if he's saying let's make America great again, right? If Donald Trump is doing and saying certain polarizing things, then that means that you're voting for someone because you agree with their politics and you agree with what they're saying out of their mouths. My question is, how can we as black people agree with the notion that when Biden is asked clearly what is his thoughts about reparations, he turns around and he doesn't want to talk about it. Damn it, I'm going to play this again for the full effect of it. I've got to play this again because it makes no damn sense. And here we go.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral.
All right, let me stop that nonsense. Once again, for those of you who came in late and didn't see this video that I played before, he was not asked a question about immigrants or Hispanics. And you saw on the numbers that I showed you tonight that Hispanics and Latinos are not even voting for the Democratic Party at the same loyal level that black people. The Latinos, their vote is split. They're voting for they're voting conservatively, and then they're giving a little sprinkle to the Democrats and a little big sprinkle over to the Republican Party or the Trump Party, because that's what it is the Trump Party. So he's speaking with passion about it being an immigrant country, and I get that. He's speaking with passion about the Hispanic population. But when it came to black people, he would not answer the bell, right? He would not answer. Hang on for a minute. He would not answer a question that would be in our best interest as a people. Let me see something real quick. Alrighty. Let me turn something off here. Oh, goodness gracious. Hang on, let me play a little bit of music for you while I adjust something. Hang on, folks. Won't take but a minute.
Information is power.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. I had a little technical situation I had to fix, but I'm back. Everything is okay. Let me know if you can hear me. We got Doug in the house. Black Man's in the house. We got Candyman in the house. I appreciate you all being here. I'm thinking about opening up the phone lines for anybody who wants to call in tonight. I think I'm going to do that in just a little bit. Give me a little bit, but let me finish my presentation. I'm almost near the end of this, but I just want to drive some things home real quick. So let me see here. Put this up here as well. So right here, this is where the vote broke down. What was most important for white women in college? White women with college graduate degrees, education by race. White women voted for Donald Trump with college education at 50%. Only 49 voted for for Joe Biden, who have college education. You see how it's half and half there? White women with some or less education, like their white counterpart, voted for Donald Trump at 60%. Only 39% with less education voted for Joe Biden at 39%. White men with college graduate, you already seen it. White college graduate white men, 48% for Trump, 50%. I spoke about that not too long ago. Let me show you something else as well. Oh, I've already showed you that. Let's go over here to, let me see here. There we go. These are the things that they felt were most important, okay? The things that they felt were most important in this election so far. 36% of people who felt that health care policies were important voted for Trump at 36%. 63% higher voted for Joe Biden because of the health care situation. Racial equality. Check this out, folks. Racial equality. 8% of people who voted for Donald Trump believe that racial equality was an issue. That's 8%. And you know that a good majority of Trump voters, because I showed you the data tonight, the good majority of Trump supporters are what? They are white men, white females, educated and uneducated, and they have a good number of Hispanics and Asians and other groups that voted for Donald Trump. So overall, they don't see race as an issue, but those who voted for the Democratic Party this year at 91%, and we know that black people were the biggest voting bloc, felt that racial inequality is an issue. See, I'm showing you. So these so-called people of color and allies that we have, black people, we don't have any. That's a figment of our imagination. Let me show you something else. Right here. The most important issues in votes for the presidency. I just named a few others a few minutes ago. Coronavirus. 82% of people who voted for Joe Biden compared to 14% that voted for Trump felt that the coronavirus was a big deal. Of course that would be the case, because why? Black people, they said that we were disproportionately impacted by what? The COVID-19, the virus. Economics, 17% Joe Biden, that went down. 82% of people voted for Trump because they felt that he made economics better, because, you know, he took off the regulations, no regulations, let business do whatever the hell it wants to do. Crime and safety. People believe that he was more of a crime and safety guy compared to Biden. Well, of course, because he kept yelling the word law and order. And then when you had people protesting out there, a lot of people didn't like the fact that you had people that went out there and protest because of what happened to George Floyd. A lot of folks of his ilk didn't like that. Now, This is very important, the coronavirus. It's 82% for Joe Biden because a lot of black people were disproportionately affected by the coronavirus. But let me show you what your liberals, your Democratic Party liberals, are doing for other groups and can't do for us. And this was something that I was going to bring up on my immigration show next Tuesday. Let me show you this. I brought it up maybe a week ago. Let me show you something. Let me find this so it can blow you away. Right here. Let me see. You see that side to side? I did that for effect, ladies and gentlemen. Right there. California to give cash payments to immigrants hurt by virus. California will give cash payments to immigrants living in counties, illegally, by the way, they're not even legal, who have been hurt by the coronavirus. Black people are citizens. We pay the goddamn taxes. We put the Democratic Party back on top again in this election. And you got Democrats like Gavin Newsom on that picture. He's the governor of California. He's a Democrat. Okay, he's a part of the Democratic of forces in machine. What does he do? They give a package for illegals who've been hurt by coronavirus, but yet they say in America that black folks have been hurt by it, and we pay taxes and we're citizens, and there's no package for us. Not to mention the fact that this country couldn't even put out a second package for the whole damn country, which Donald Trump wasn't willing to sign. He wanted to play politics and say, well, I'll do it if you vote for me. You know, he's a transactional kind of guy, right? So 82% of that 82%, when you got 91% of black women, 80% of black men voting, and our votes are higher than any other ethnic group, don't tell me that was our issue. And we got liberal governors giving money and opportunity for giving benefits to other people, giving our tax dollars to people who are not citizens. Oh, it doesn't stop there. Let me show you something else. This was in Seattle. Another one that I was going to show you right here. Look at the number, coronavirus pandemic. 82% of people voted for Joe Biden because they felt he could handle it better. Look at this. Seattle starts COVID-19 relief fund helping undocumented immigrants. Seattle, Washington is another liberal. The Washington state is another liberal Democratic bastion. Okay. Helping undocumented immigrants. Seattle launched a $9 million Corona-19 relief fund Thursday that will give cash grants to undocumented immigrants unable to access federal stimulus money. They should not be able to because, one, they're not a citizen. Two, they're not paying taxes into it. That's my damn tax money. The city funds, which will accept an application until November 5th, which was just what? Just a couple of days ago, ladies and gentlemen, which no, that was yesterday. Oh, that was just yesterday.
Tell the truth.
The city funds, which will accept applications until November 5th, added $40 million that the state is making available to undocumented immigrants to help them. Now, look, I understand that people are dying of this terrible virus. I understand people are being inflicted with it. I get that. I'm not insensitive to that, right? But my point in making this is that, once again, these are two Democratic cities, two Democratic states. Seattle, Washington, the state of Washington, they're going to give $40 million to advocate this plan for undocumented immigrants. And in California, they were even providing housing. Yet black people who are so loyal to the Democratic Party, we can't get reparations. We can't even get them to create a package for us when they say that we're the most disproportionately affected by this. And I know Hispanics are affected by this as well. and other groups of people. I get that. But what I'm saying, my whole point here is that black people are loyal. We fought in every war this country ever had. We're some of the most patriotic people this country. We've brought, this country wouldn't even have culture, music. Everything about America is off the backs of black culture. Everything, pop culture comes from black people. Style, everything is, we make this country what it is. We've built this country. We put down labor in this country. Our ancestors had land taken from them. You had redlining. You had Jim Crow. You had black men and women hung from trees like strange fruit. You had black men who came out of slavery into Reconstruction, and they could not, the white men got up in arms because they were concerned about black men and women taking their jobs, because black people were the skilled labor of America. Before all the immigrants got here, we were the skilled labor. And so white men were concerned that they were not going to be able to get employment, which is how they came up with unions in the first place. Unions were designed to make sure that white men got jobs and to keep black men out of job opportunity. That's the origins of unions in America. Let's talk about convict leasing, how they would lease black men from prison and states to do work. Let's talk about the fact that even under the 4 years that we were under Donald Trump, damn near, black people couldn't get a loan to expand their existing business. They would get turned down by 54% versus white people 24%. We had the Democratic Party went to Ice Cube for his contract on Black America, and they brushed him off by saying, well, we'll talk to you when we get elected. The man's got a plan. If you're for black people, why don't you entertain his plan? And of course, Trump took part of the plan and put it in his platinum plan only because he's trying to cater to black votes, because he knew he need black votes. Y'all called my man Ice Cube a coon, a sellout, yet he presented something that was about us. It was about holding these politicians accountable. That's what it was about. But we talked about him like a dog. But he presented a plan that no black politician to date presented for us. He said, I'm willing to work with any one of these political groups because somebody's going to be in power. So if Joe Biden's winning this election, if he hasn't already, Ice Cube has to hold them accountable. You know why? Because Ice Cube said that the Democratic Party told him, we got to get elected first, and then we can use your plan. And if Joe Biden gets elected and they don't use his plan, then you know that it was all bull crap. Now, let me get back in here. Let me take this off the screen and show you something else. This will be, let me see here. Right here. I want to show you this. This is by gender. Men, 48%. Now, this is gender. Women. Biden, Trump. Look at that. Take a look at that. Look at the so-called people of color. You still got black people at 87%. Hispanics, 65% in the blue, 32% in the red. Asians, 63% in the blue, 31% in the red. Others, 40%. What I'm trying to point out here is that black people still make up the largest voting bloc for the Democratic Party. Out of all those groups, out of white people, Hispanic, Latinos, and Asians, again, I'm emphasizing in the so-called other people of color, we still lead as a group in this country at 13.4% of the population. We still give the Democratic Party our loyalty. We still vote for them higher than anyone else. So with that said, why is the Democratic Party continuing to cater to other people? And when Joe Biden is asked about reparations, he switches to the question of immigrants and how they're very important to the country, as if black people are not important, when he was asked a very fundamental question. What about reparations for black people? ADOS, American descendants of slavery. He didn't say a damn word. And we set up and voted for him, black men, black women. And prior to us voting, prior to South Carolina and putting him on the map, the black folks there, he had said that prior to that. But you still had the buck dancing of Clyburn and all the black folks out there that put their arms around Joe Biden, because we all wanted to get Trump out of office. I get that. I wanted Trump out of office too. But at the same time, the Democratic Party is still taking black people's votes for granted. Let me show you something else when you talk about immigrants. And I'm not trying to put down our African brothers and sisters, but what I'm about to show you needs to be shown, because not everybody that's your same skin tone has your same ideology in mind or even on the same page with you. Because like I said, brothers and sisters from the continent, they are unique to their culture, their Norways and their fourways. Black people that were born in this country in America, whose ancestors went through shackle slavery, through Jim Crow, redlining, all those things that happened, because a lot of African brothers and sisters, a lot of them didn't come into this country in large numbers until the early 90s. While black people were catching hell in this country, marching and making it possible for people who come from other countries that are black like us, at least in skin tone, okay, that are black like us, we made it safe for them to be able to come over here and go to school, live in any neighborhood they want to live in. We are responsible for equal opportunity to job opportunities. Let me show you something. And this is no shade. I just got to keep it 100% real. Look at this. I want everybody in the chat room to take a look at that and read that. Am I cooking tonight or am I not cooking? What's up, Africa first? Don't get me wrong. I got respect for our brothers and sisters in the continent. But we have to understand that when brothers and sisters come from the continent, like Nigeria or maybe Kenya or maybe Ghana, when they come here, they do identify themselves as what? They don't say I'm Black American. They say I'm Nigerian American, or I'm from Nigeria. They identify with a lineage, with a landmass, a culture, a language. They are a group amongst themselves as brothers and sisters from the continent. So right here on this news article by way of CNN, a majority of Nigerians and Kenyans have considered, have confidence, let me just correct myself, have confidence in President Trump according to a Pew Research. What I want you all to do is not take my word for it. I want you to go on your Google and say Nigerians and Kenyans have confidence in Donald Trump's administration, or Donald Trump, Pew Research. And you will pull up the data or the article that will back up what the CNN article was about. The reason why I put that up there, because once again, Nigerians and a lot of the Nigerians and the Kenyans that are here, these are once again immigrant groups that come into the country, get citizenship. In some cases, you have people who are not citizens who are working here on a green card, or some sort, a work visa. Okay. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, once again, you have other groups of people who come here and they're not on the same page with us politically at all, even if they may look like us, or there are brothers and sisters from the continent of Caribbean. That doesn't mean that they're going to have the same politics that we have. Once again, when you go to Florida, if you talk to the black Cubans who nobody pays attention to, their politics is completely different to a certain degree than the quote unquote white Cubans who got all this attention paid to them because of the fact that they were going to vote for Trump, which that's nothing new. The Cubans, particularly the white Cubans in Florida, have always voted conservatively. They've been voting conservatively going all the way back to Ronald Reagan. Do you understand where I'm coming from? We got G. Scott. I'm about to open up the phone lines. We got G. Scott in the house. Discussions with Dana says, you're so right, information man. Indeed, discussions, black man, they danced in the streets praising. Right, they were praising him. So once again, what I'm saying is, while Joe Biden looks to be the president of the United States, or he's going to be, it looks like he's going to be. Once again, let me put this back up here. I want to remind you guys of what he proposed. There we go. If you go on Joe Biden and Harris's campaign page and you go to this area, and I wish I had, I got the article, but I'm going to save that for my immigration show next week. I got the whole thing printed out, the areas that I wanted to read. As President Biden will commit significant political capital to finally deliver legislation to immigrants reform to assure that United States remains open to immigrants. Right? And this is what Joe Biden, this is what he is going to do. And this is what I need y'all to see this video once more. I want to get this through everybody's collective mind. This is very important. Here we go. Listen to this once again.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. Okay.
Once again, the question was, Joe Biden, do you support reparations? He begins to talk about immigrant groups and people who come over here. Last time I checked, black people didn't come. We're not over. We're already here. Last time I checked, ADOS, black people that have lineage to America that were born here. We're already been here. We fought in your Revolutionary War. We fought in the Civil War. We fought in World War I, World War II. Even though when most black men came back from the war, you did what? You rid states. You killed black men. You hung them from trees like fruit. You didn't like the idea of black men having those uniforms on. We already been here. We fought in all your wars. We're responsible for making you live up to what the country's supposed to be about. We're responsible for the civil rights movement, the Voter Right Act, the 65 voter rights. We're responsible for equal opportunity for employment and not being discriminated against. We're responsible for making it possible that you can move into a neighborhood and not be discriminated against immigrants who come over here. We're responsible for that. We made these streets safe for you. We paved these roads for you. We built this country. Even the state that I live in, called California, the real name is Khalifa. California is named after a black queen who controlled this part of the area. She guarded the coast from pirates coming in. Oh yeah, that's history. California is named after a black woman, a queen. She was a fierce warrior who would guarded this place we call California a state. Queen Khalifa, look it up. Learn something. Now we got Maurice coming in the house. Peace to you. What I'm trying to say to everybody is that although it looks like Joe Biden may win, black folks, we've been duped again. Yes, I know that some of us wanted him out of office, wanted Trump out of office. I get it. But we also been duped by the Democratic Party again. And the reason why I'm saying we have, and I'm making this statement, is because when you listen to both him and Kamala Harris, all their talk is around what they're going to do for other people. There's the Democratic Party, as I said before in my opening statements of the show, the Democratic Party puts all this attention on other people. And then when they want to deal with black people, they want to give us crumbs on the table. And the problem with that is that we have the wrong leadership in Washington. We have the wrong black leadership that is not getting us what we need. They're too busy pussyfooting around. And I also want to say before I open up the phone lines that America, people owe black men an apology for jumping on black men because there were some black men that wanted to vote for Trump. 18% of the vote of the black male vote went to Trump. 80% went to Joe Biden. We only lagged behind black women at the tune of 91% by black women. But we still showed up and showed out to get the man where he may possibly be now to be in office as president. I've shown you with the data that I put on the screen tonight. Tell me right now in the chat room, did I or did I not show you data in the chat room tonight that shows that black people are still the leader of the pack when it comes to voting for the Democratic Party and putting Joe Biden's behind where he is now? Did I or did I not? I'm waiting right now while I play this tune for you. I'm waiting for your answers while I play this tune. James Nelson says yes. The guy from Texas says facts. Earl Owen says yes. Mo says, what's up, information man? Discussions with Dana says that's right. Oh, we got Misfit. FedEx is in the house. Peace to you, sister. She says 100%. Alan Christian says peace. Black man, they danced in the streets. Yeah, so that was the earlier. We got Africa First says yes. The United States of Africa says yes. Doug says yes. Thank you very much. And I'm going to say this once again. I am not against my brothers and sisters in the continent, because check this out. If I as a black man in America, I'm going to be completely honest. I would have no business as a black man in America telling brothers and sisters in South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, any of the different countries in the continent of Africa, because Africa is a continent, I would be out of line to be telling black folks in the continent that they should not be fighting for their reparations that's due to what happened to them where they are. I have no business criticizing them, and I have no business expecting that I'm going to get some of that money. Now, for our Caribbean brothers and sisters who have CARICOM, once again, I, as a black man in America born here, would have no business telling brothers from Trinidad or Jamaica or anywhere within the Caribbean that they've got no right to demand what is due them from Great Britain. And I don't have any right, unless I have lineage to the Caribbean, but I would have no right, unless I have lineage, to tell Caribbean people, black people, our people as well, that they've got no right to fight for their reparations or their debt. And that somehow by them carving out what's theirs, that they're being divisive towards me. No, they're not. They are due what is owed them, and I have no right to criticize them for getting what is due them. So with that said, nobody should criticize brothers and sisters who have lineage to America, who identify ourselves as ADOS, foundational people, black people. No one who's from the continent of Africa or from the Caribbean should criticize us for getting what is in our best interest because of our foundation in this country. There is nothing wrong with that. If something's wrong with that, I would like to see somebody have the courage to say they don't agree. And I want to know why. The French, yes, for example, America owes its independence to the Haitians because the Haitians drove the French out. But guess what? The Haitians have had to pay the French reparations for whooping their behinds all these years. Yet the reality is that the French need to pay the Haitians what they owe them. See, everybody's got a claim. Everybody's got a claim within the black diaspora. Okay? Now, what I want to do is I'm going to play a little bit of music while I prepare to open up the phone lines. And so hang on, folks. I'm going to open up the phone lines, get your opinions on my presentation tonight. How you felt about it. Give me your opinion. And I'm going to say this again. People who are immigrants, they have the right to come here legally. They have the right they have the right to justice, liberty, and equality, right? In pursuit of happiness. They have the right to employment. But I'm smart enough to know that other groups that come here, they do tend to help each other and employ each other. And guess what? I don't hate on that. That's what they should do. Guess what, black people in America? We should be doing the same thing. I got no problem with Jamaican brothers and brothers from the continent of Africa coming over here and creating little Jamaica or little Nigeria or creating their own communities within America. You know why? Because that's what they should do. That makes economic sense and cultural sense. ADOS, that's what we need to be doing. So let me play a little bit of music and get you guys set up for the phone call for those of you who do want to call in and talk to me about this issue for a little bit. And let me see what I want to do. Which one do I want to play? I'll be right back in just a moment with the play a little music and let me set this up.
we'd be fine. Guess that I was wrong this time. When I think about it now, I know that I don't. I do not wanna give you more of my life. I do not wanna give you more of my life. You're just gonna waste it now. Not sure if I'll make it out. I do not wanna give you more of my life. I'm all in with my mind. Will you ever call me back? How am I supposed to go if we never said goodbye? Reading through our convo, trying to find where it went wrong. Baby, I'll be fine if you text me one last time. Wishful thinking gets the worst of me. Hoping that it's still you and me. Yeah, I thought we'd always shine. Just some time off, we'd be fine. Guess that I was wrong this time. When I think about it now, I know that I don't. I do not wanna give you more of my life. I do not want.
Okay, everybody. That's the phone number up top. 605-313-5658. Access code 571128. Just look at the ticker. It's going to continue to go by. It's an open conference call, so more than one person can call in at the same time. I just want to get a few of your thoughts before I conclude the show tonight. I had to get into this. I had to talk about this. I was fired up about it because I want to, although black people are going to be all giddy and happy, some black people, that we got Trump out of office, there's still more work to be done. We really don't have time to be strutting and dancing in the streets because we got Donald Trump out of office. We need to be putting a lot of pressure on the Democrats, because I've showed you tonight that the statistics show that we were the biggest. We showed out and we put the biggest numbers up. We outvoted white people, Asians, Latinos, Hispanics, as well as others across the board, as well, from our women to our men. And that's just the bottom line. And I want to get people's opinions about this. And let me see if we got somebody online right now. Nobody's online. So let me see. Don't be shy. If you want to call in, I'm going to keep it up and see if anybody calls in. If not, I'll take the phone line system off. That's the number up top. 605-313-5658. Access code 571128. So I'll just hold that there for a while. Let me show you something else. Let me show you something else that I was going to save for my show this week, but let me let you see it anyway. Hell with it. Right there. This is a timeline of how black people have voted for the Democratic Party. Let me do something real quick because I want to show you guys something. I'm going to move this up just a little bit. There we go. There we go. Right there. Look at that. That's a timeline. Black votes for president since 1936 through 2016. Look at that. 1936, we were 71% of the vote. 1940, we voted 67% for the Democratic Party. 68% in 1944, 1948, 77%, 76% in 1950, 1955, 61%, 1980, 68%, 1964, 94%. You notice the numbers are lower in the later years because that's when there were more black. That's because there were black people that were Republicans and some that were Democrats. It was split across. But eventually, as we get up in the numbers, you start seeing that black people start locking themselves to the Democratic Party. Right? In 1958, we were at 61%. 94%. And the Democratic Party was the party of the Dixiecrats, right? 85% in 68, 72, 87%, 76, 85%, 1980, 86%, 1994, we voted 89%, 1988, we were at 1989. We were at 92. We were at 82% Democratic Party. So you see how the numbers fluctuated. 2000, 90%. 2004, 88%. 2008, 95%. That was because of Barack Obama. 2012, 93%. 2016, 88%. Look at that chart that I just put up there. Let's see if we got somebody online. Nobody's online. So let me continue the presentation. So look at this chart. Look at that very well. I want people to, what's going on, Brittany Dunn? I need everybody, if you have the opportunity to watch this video again, or if you want to watch this video again and just move to the areas that you most want to see, this is stuff we need to study. Look at that. All those blue areas show you. Now, the most we ever voted for the Democratic Party, for the Republican Party, was in 1952. We voted for them. No, 1958. We voted for the Republican Party at 39%. That's the reds parts. But for the most part, everything was steady. Everything went from 70%, a couple of 60%, and it starts steadily going up to 80%. And where we are today, we're in the 80s and 90 percentile. We're in those areas, okay? The chart, if you look on the right side of the chart, this is black demographics. You can get this off of black demographics, ladies and gentlemen. If you look to the right side, you've got, once again, other people of color, right? But look at their voting. There's no numbers. No, nothing. There's no percentages. Now, in 1964, the Republicans only got 6% of the vote, and the Democrats got 94% of the vote, and that was primarily because of the what? The 1965 voters' right. That's the time where black people made LB do it, giving us the right to vote with the Voters' Right Act. So that might have been one of the reasons why voting spiked up in 1964 at 94%, because for the first time, black people were given the right to vote wholesale in this country. And the only other time that our vote spiked up that high was when Obama in 2008 got 95% Democrat votes from black people. Look at that. That's amazing. 1964, we voted at 94%, and we hadn't voted that high until we got Obama in 95, and the rest is history. Who's on the line?
G. Scott.
G. Scott, I'm glad you're here.
G. Scott, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Let me take this off the screen so if other people want to call in, they got the number. G. Scott, how much of my presentation tonight have you had a chance to digest as best you can?
I'm looking at it now, and it makes sense. You know, it really makes a whole lot of sense. And not only that chart, but like we were speaking about the immigration, I was looking at the brother T. West. T. West did an awesome presentation.
Yeah, T. West is good at that.
How, absolutely, he showed how the graphs of mass immigration during the time period of us being incarcerated here, during the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And moving forward, and the numbers were like this. It was like a tie.
Right.
It was a tie, and the majority of it was Hispanic. Right. You know, we understood for a long time that we never had allies. But one thing I gotta respect about this election, right, in 2020, because 2020 just means to see things for what it is, not what it appears to be.
Right.
So black people. A lot of people got it confused. A lot of black people, the reason why they voted for Biden and Kamala is not because they like them, it's because of the hatred they had for Donald Trump, because Donald Trump was an open racist. Other than that, they would have sat home.
Right.
Now, I'm in Wilmington. A lot of people, this election has a lot of consequences. We are on high alert here right? I took a ride around the city earlier. You got the snipers, you got the police. I mean, this city is on fire, right?
Right.
They're already catching people in Philadelphia, coming up there with the foolishness. But what my point is, like I said in the chat, a lot of these immigrants come here and they really don't even care enough to know the history of this country, right? So they really don't understand the warrior nature in us, right? So I spoke with my mother earlier today, and my mother was telling me she was 11 years old when what we call the Holy Uprising.
Yes.
The riots, the King riot, right? Yes. And my mother was telling me about how many murders she saw, how many immigrants they killed, how many police officers they killed. They were under martial law here under Joe Biden for 9+ months in Wilmington. And she said to me today, the atmosphere that we have in this moment feels the same way. Right?
Right.
So it's going to be where Black people, they put them there. You know what I mean? Don't think they're not thinking about reparations. Black people love money. We love money. So they're thinking about the reparations, right? And they're going to see what they're going to do. But it had to be done to open our eyes. We don't have any allies. The government doesn't care about us. And I'm sorry to say it, but I really think it's going to be a lot of bloodshed. Sun Tzu said, no peace without chaos first. And that's what's happening, right? And I don't think a government is going to be able to change what is taking place here. And we've been out here giving the warning, not only to, ourselves, but them as well.
Right.
And it's just to the boiling point.
Well,
and a lot of immigrants is going to get caught up in this crossfire.
Right.
Moving forward, I can sense it now. I just had a problem with one in the store selling things for 99 cents because it's a tax-free state. It had 99 cents on it, and he was selling it for 129. Then he told me I couldn't get gas because I didn't want to buy it. I was like, really? Listen, time is up in our neighborhoods with that foolishness. We really should not care who's the president if we're all on code anyway with the same agenda moving forward. I think we'll be okay, but it's going to be a lot of bloodshed.
Let me ask you this question, and I really thank you for calling in tonight. Let me ask you this question. I did a video on my second channel. I don't want to see violence break out. And whoever's coming on the line, I don't want to see violence break out. I don't want to see nobody get hurt. I don't care what race you're. I don't want to see nobody get hurt.
I definitely don't want. But I've talked to my mother was just telling me for some reason she just started speaking about it today, going in her mind, and she was like the whole energy feels like how it felt. During the King riots, this is how it started.
Right.
Black people got fed up with the government, got fed up because there was a brother here. We have a memorial set in down in the Wilmington area as a reminder. They had this gang called Blackie Blacks. He was the George Floyd of that time, right? And that set it off.
All right. Well, let me just say this though, sister. What I'm seeing. And I'm sure many of people in the chat room, people that's listening, what I'm seeing what I have seen is a lot of white violence. And you notice the news isn't calling it out as white violence. Just today when I was looking at a video in Arizona, you got white folks out there that are angry about what's happening in Arizona with the voting. They got their guns. I know it's an open carry state. You can even have it in your pocket, have it out, they said. But you got white folks out there getting into arguments with each other. You got white folks out there you got the white male who is either low education, who's voting for Donald Trump, as I put on the screen tonight, at 67%, who is the one that's out there thinking that he's losing his grip on America. And so he's out there flexing with his guns and his weapons and his militia groups. and trying to intimidate people at these voting polls or people that's counting the votes. And do we see any black people out there? No, wait a minute, sister. Do we see any black men and women out there carrying on like that? Because they usually say that they usually label us as the ones that act a butt fool. No, this is white folks out here.
Absolutely. See, we got to remember they had more control on the media, right?
Yes.
During the civil rights era versus what we see now, right?
Right.
So, because if you look at Thurgood Marshall, right? Thurgood Marshall wrote a book called The Devil's in the Grove. He tells you got to read that book. That book is awesome. Okay. That book explains how the KKK infiltrated the police, the Supreme Court, the jury, the same things we see right now, right? And soon as he dismantled it and he became the Supreme Court justice, they increased it. They doubled down on it, right? So these people will kill one. Don't think that they won't kill each other when they go off of code, right? Because they will. We'll see a lot of that.
Okay.
We'll see a lot of that. And my thing is, to be honest, we just need to be honest. When I looked at this whole thing, we don't realize what's really going on. These people are saying civil war. So let's look at the first Civil War. The first Civil War was between the North and the South, correct?
Right.
Right now, they're calling civil war. They want to finish off what they started with the liberals,
Well, this is what
during that time.
This is what I have to say to that, though, sister, that whatever is happening in the streets with white folks in this civil war type of mode, black people, this is what I got to say. Black people need to stay out of it. It ain't none of our business.
That's exactly where I was going to go with it. That's exactly what I was going to go, because to be honest, that's why the Democrats are doing what they're doing. They want us to jump on their team. No, we jumped on your team last time. You owed us 40 acres and a mule. You have not honored that contract yet.
Right.
So it's the HYON on that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Now,
for us, it should be that way. This is not our battle.
Okay.
At all.
Now,
we just want to jump in and get a pat on the head for it, but this isn't our business.
Okay. Well, G. Scott, let me. Someone else is on the line. Sounds like it's a brother. Who's calling? Who else is on the line?
Yeah, this is Mike.
What's going on, Mike?
What's going on?
It's all good, brother. Thank you for calling in too. Were you able to hear or see some of my presentation tonight enough to digest where I was trying to go?
Yeah. And I agree with you. And I don't like that that narrative that we don't like, that black men don't vote and stuff like that.
Right.
Black men vote more than Asian men and women, and we vote more than Hispanic men.
And I just showed tonight what the data, and the data that I showed tonight is legitimate data. You can look that up on the Washington Post. You can go on Pew Research. What I showed tonight is not only is it black men, but no, it's black men and black women vote more than our white counterparts. Black men are voting more than even white men are voting. Black women are overwhelmingly voting more than white women, and we're voting more overall as a group than any of the immigrants that the Democratic Party tends to want to, capitulate themselves to quite a bit and forget about us.
They blame.
Biden said he was going to.
They use us as a scapegoat. Like, I feel like they use us as like, they don't come out, they don't vote, they don't pay tax. It's everything negative. They try to use us as the scapegoat.
Right.
But the statistics and the data that, like you presented, and that I've seen, shows that we, as a whole, we have a bigger turnout than Hispanics and Asians. And even when Obama became president, he had the lowest white vote. He only got 39% of white voters. It was because we came out in droves, we was able to get him in the office. But I think that we also have to look at Trump got the highest black Republican turnout I think for
right. What I was
out of like the past 20 or some years.
Right. Let me put something on. Don't get me wrong.
In Florida,
go ahead, G. Scott. Go ahead.
This is the problem I have with that. Biden said he was going to legalize 11 million immigrants, right? The majority Latin, right? And then we got the numbers that came in on election of how they overwhelmingly voted for Trump in Florida, right? Then they were blaming black men. I said, how you can blame black men? And you got more white women voted for Trump in 2020 than they did in 2016. More Latins down, especially in Florida, and especially the Cubans, overwhelmingly voted for Trump. Nobody is screaming and hollering at them. It's all the black men.
Right. So nobody. So if you look at one of the reasons I said this tonight, one of the reasons why Biden's been kind of neck and neck a little bit with Trump, and it hasn't been final, is because that's the quote unquote people of color vote. That's the Latinos who actually split their vote. And a lot of them were voting for Trump at 30 whatever percent. And then they gave 60 something percent to Biden. But their vote was very, very split in different places. And whereas black women are 91%.
Endorsed him too.
Right. And so, but what we have to understand is what I was listening to Yvette Carnell, and she made a good point. She said that we have a situation where we try to make Latinos and Hispanics this one group when in fact they're not. Because I've lived in California for years, and Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and Cubans and Salvadorians, they all see themselves as different cultures. But somehow in America, we kind of lump these people as one.
But the only one that has a legal claim, like similar to Atos, to be labeled as a Hispanic is the Mexicans, right?
Well,
the other groups, I mean, they grouped them all in. Now they're calling them Latins. But at the beginning of this, it was just simply the Mexicans.
Right, but if you talk
they were known as the Hispanics here.
Right, but if you like for example, let me break something down here. You know as well as I know, sister, that Hispanic is a European term. That was a term that was made up by white folks in America. What year was that? Was that the 60s or the 70s? It was a term created by America to label.
It was in the 70s.
Thank you, sister. So,
and it was only like 1 million and something on American soil at the time.
I live in California. I've been around different groups. This is a very international place. I lived in San Francisco, very international. When I have talked to people that are Mexican, most Mexicans, they don't look at themselves as Latin. They don't. So when you say Hispanic Latin, some of them don't even identify with that, especially in California, in LA, you got Mexicans who identify themselves as Chicano, or Raza.
Liz, I work downtown. I'm from the Northeast. I work downtown Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Then you know what I'm talking about. I'm tripping. I forgot you live in California.
From the Biltmore, right?
Okay.
I thought I was in Tijuana. I'm not being disrespectful.
Okay.
And the way that they are there is totally different from the ones in the Northeast. They seem to me to think they're more European. A lot of them told me out of their own mouth they're Caucasian on their birth certificate.
Right. They have that, some of them. And I know in Florida, a lot of the Cubans, they kind of see themselves, the white Cubans in particular, they see themselves in that same type of light. But in a nutshell,
that's the Spainer blood in them.
Yeah, but in a nutshell, once again,
makes me think that way.
Go ahead, brother. I'm gonna let you say what you have to say. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that's because America forces, like, if they make it like you white Hispanic or you black Hispanic, but
right.
I feel like Cubans, Puerto Ricans, all them they do got like a little difference in their culture. Like even a Dominican person, they'll say like they speak a little bit different type of Spanish than like a Mexican person. They got like different slang and all types of stuff. And then just like a black person from Philly got different slang than a black person from Atlanta.
Right. And then you have when you look at
we all got the same. experience.
Right. When you look at in South America, when you look at Argentina, the Argentinians, they look down on some of the groups that we got here in this that that speak Spanish. They think that they're speaking they think that they're on the same page with the Spaniards. With the Spaniards.
Absolutely, and a lot of them, that's the second buffer class of what we call white supremacy, and that's what they are. A lot of them are the descendants of Spaniards mixed with Moors,
right?
And a lot of them, it's been a lot of whitewashing in the islands and in Latin American cultures and things of that nature.
Right.
And so when they get over here, you know what I mean? They look like us, so we're thinking, they're like us. But if you hang around them long enough, you'll see it. No, totally different.
Well, I'll just look at it as.
But see, my thing is,
the Northeast, they're different than they are on the West.
But that's just because
even in Texas. It's just different.
Right, but let's keep it 100% real though here. When you look at black people that have lineage to America, I gotta be honest, black people back east have a different swag than black people in California. Black people in the South have a different.
We absolutely do.
So your geographical location can also impact how you are culturally within the culture, and that's what I'm saying. That's why what Yvette was saying made so much sense. Is that in America, because America's a society that likes to put people in a box, they kind of lump the Latino or population as this one, and I don't think they are this one group, but I do think that ADOS, black people that are lineage, I do think that we are a group, and we can point to unique things that make us this one group, but the Latinos, they're not this one group, which is why it reflects in the way they vote, where their voting is kind of like 60% here, 40 here. It's split apart. Whereas black people, if you think about it, black people that are American, we kind of vote in a similar pattern. It's been Democrat for so long, though.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, brother. You was going to make a point.
I respect them though, because it's for them. It's like a cultural pride type of thing. It's a pride type of thing. Like, if they rep whatever country they come from, they're proud of it, and that's why they get offended when you say. But I mean, we kind of do the same thing. Like if somebody from let's say you in Philly and somebody from New York come to Philly talking shit, everybody in Philly would be like, they jump on them, and I feel like that's the same with them. And their countries are different. Like Cuba had their whole dictatorship with Fidel Castro. Mexico got its own situations going on. Like, they are different. And I think it's an uneducated way to just say, oh, well, they're all just one people. That's not true.
Right.
And Africans from Africa do the same thing. Like, a Nigerian person that came straight from Nigeria will tell someone who's 2 generations Nigerian in America, like, oh, you act more American or whatever. But
but you can even
back to what you were saying about the.
But all of that is European divide and conquer strategy, and it seems like adults, we're the only ones who are really aware of how this thing works. Everybody else is like, oh no, we don't see racism and things of that nature, but you have
they
know
not always
see how to divide and conquer. They do that very well.
It's a global system, because look, you can take someone from Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, or even like someone who's Eritrean, someone from East Africa, and they can migrate or come here to America and establish themselves and become citizens. And you may have someone from East Africa. East Africans, they tend to stay to themselves. You don't see them intermixing with Nigerians and Ghanaians. They tend to stick to their the tribalism, right? To a certain degree. So and so at the same time, black people in America, we're being told by other groups how we should unify with them, and we shouldn't be putting ourselves over here on a pedestal over here. But other groups, when they come here, they identify themselves, they create communities for themselves, and they do for self.
Yeah.
See, the fear here
But what I'll say to that, What I'll say to that though is a lot of these people, they come from countries where everyone is like them. Like if you coming from Nigeria, everyone back home is black. So when they come here, they don't think like black is like, I mean, this is what I've heard from some friends in school and college. Like they don't look at race as like a unifier, like, oh, we're all one race. No, they look at country, they look at national pride, they look
tribalism,
at their religious practices. They look at stuff like that.
It's a tribal system.
It is, and I don't think it's all racist though, because like if you go to Japan, you get called like an outsider. You could be white and go to Japan, and I mean they'll probably treat you better. I'm not gonna lie, because the way like the world is set up with wealth and stuff. But if you are like a young kid and you go into a classroom in like Japan or China or whatever, and you ain't Japanese or Chinese, they'll probably make fun of you or consider you an outsider as well. Now, I do think that we need to get better about being proud to be black. I think we focus too much on the negative aspects, like, slavery, Jim Crow, but we have to look at like, how come no one talks about like Madam C.J. Walker and Granville T. Woods, all these inventors and stuff. I think we need to tell our kids, yes, we do need to teach our kids history with slavery and all that, but we also need to tell them, hey, look, even though your ancestors went through this or your great-grandparents went through this, they also built this, they also built that, they also accomplished all these things. Now, when we're back to the voting situation, I feel like I don't trust Democrats or Republicans. I think they both got a fucked up history. I think that maybe we need to get behind like a third party candidate next election. We need to get behind unless Biden wins and proves to us that like our vote matters, because it doesn't seem like for the past 4 elections our vote has mattered.
I think
it will matter this time.
It will. I think it's only gonna matter. This is where I differ. It's only gonna matter if black people realize that we once again were the glue that made it possible for Biden to get into office. If he gets in the office, if they get these damn vote situations together, we have to look at that and say that we did that. Yeah, other people did vote, but let me finish what I'm saying here. Other groups have voted like we voted, and other groups did vote, but we overwhelmingly put higher numbers up. So therefore, we have a reason to demand what is due us, because those numbers reflect it. Now we should have had the same attitude with Barack Obama, but we did not in the way we should have. But I'm saying in this election, we got to hold this man accountable, and Kamala Harris. Let me tell you something else too before you both make your statements. Kamala Harris did not bring anything to the table for Joe Biden. She was supposed to be the person that was going to seal the black vote. Look. Black folks and black men and women voted the same way when there was no black person on the ticket, when it was just what was it? Who was it? When it was Hillary. If you look at the numbers I just showed you tonight, black men voted for Hillary Clinton 81%. This year, they voted 80% for Joe Biden. Black women still voted 91% for Hillary Clinton. That's without her having a black running mate. Joe Biden gets a black running mate or a black running mate. I know there's some controversy with people about her race. Is she Indian? Is she black? But nevertheless, she's coined as a black person, a person of color. And guess what? When you look at the numbers that I showed you tonight, and you guys can all research it for yourself, and it's going to come out the same. Joe Biden got basically the same voting numbers that Hillary Clinton got from black people. So what I'm saying to you is that Kamala Harris didn't move the needle, because if she's this person of color, she's supposed to be part Asian. I just showed you the Asian numbers. It wasn't that high. Go ahead, sister.
I just think that this election, right? See, it's to me, I just think there's
listen, look at this.
Unseen force dealing with this, right?
Right.
Because, like you said, Kamala, black people didn't vote for just Kamala to get in the White House. And they didn't vote for Biden to get in there. They voted because of the simple fact they hated Donald Trump.
Right.
So what happened now? What happened now is they showed black people we have power and unity. If we can go to the voting and go vote for you like that and come to an agreement, we also can come to an agreement that we had enough and we want our reparations.
Right. But I simply think that I agree with you. I think black people voted for Joe Biden overall, not necessarily because they loved him, but because they hated Donald Trump that much. They wanted Donald Trump out. But let me look, I got the statistics on the door. I got statistics on here. Asians still managed to vote for Donald Trump at 31%. 63% of them voted for Biden, still not as high as black people. And Donald Trump still got more Asian votes than what black people gave him. My point being is that when Joe Biden put Kamala Harris on a ticket, she was supposed to be this multiracial candidate who was black and Asian, and that she would somehow be able to bring a lot of other people on board. What I'm trying to tell you, or what I'm trying to say, and even Yvette Carnell had the same premise on her show, had to say the same thing on her show. The numbers don't reflect that she moved the needle for Joe Biden at all. Yes, because look, because even though black women were excited about her being on the ticket, the black female vote was the same in 2020 under the statistics that I've showed you tonight as it was for Hillary when she had no black woman running with her. So what is it? That tells me what that tells me is that yes, black women were excited about her, but she did not really move the overall needle.
I just think that,
and I can answer that.
The sorority sisters she had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the reason why a lot of black people went out there and voted for her too. Bottom line, because they're the ones that got to go back to their family members and talk to them and get them to the polls. She don't have no pull in the black community like that. So a lot of her sorority sisters, you know, and politicians as well, beefed it up. But her personally, she doesn't have any type of magnetic power.
I think it's the
black
opposite.
People are amused with. She just doesn't. She doesn't move. She's talking about. She listened to Tupac. You know what I mean? Some of the children, this generation don't even know Tupac.
Well, she kind of let's remember when she brought up the issue of Tupac. She said she was listening to Tupac. She got the year that his album came out wrong. She got that wrong, which showed. And what happened was a lot of black people who did not vote for her in the primary is because she came off disingenuous. She didn't come off as authentic because she's saying, "Oh yeah, I smoked weed," as if that's all black people do. And then when you hear about her black side of her, let me just say this, brother. When you hear about her black side of her family background, all the talk was about the weed smoke. And her father, who was Jamaican, who identifies himself once again, like I'm saying, he identifies himself as Jamaican. He didn't identify himself as I'm black. He said I'm Jamaican. The father was very disappointed in her talking all that weed talk. And then when you go back into Kamala Harris's mother's background, do you know when she came to this country and got citizenship, she identified herself as white. That's a fact. You can look it up. Now,
absolutely.
Now, brother, what was you trying to say? I'm sorry if I cut you off. Go right ahead.
Yeah, everything you said was factual. You are information man. That was the interview that she's talking about with Breakfast Club. That was the issue for a lot of us. She was, as a prosecutor, she prosecuted 1,900. They said she incarcerated more black men for small marijuana possession and charges like that than the white previous prosecutor for, I think it was San Francisco.
Right.
How you gonna go on Breakfast Club talking about you smoked weed in college, but then you'll lock people up? And this is California, a state where
I think he got cut off the line there. Are you still
Yeah.
there? He got cut off. G. Scott, before I get ready to conclude tonight, what is your statements in conclusion?
I just think that this is just fine. It's like a warning.
Mm-hmm.
I won't just say a warning, but it's like with us, it's like this is the Democrats, the Republicans, and the government overall last chance to make it right with us in this country.
You're absolutely right.
We're not going to keep going for all of the trick bags. It's over. They're going to have to show and prove, that they do have some kind of concern and they're ready to atone for all the abuse that we've been going through while being the most loyal American.
Right.
Not just voter, but Americans in this country.
Right. So
I feel as though this election has awakened Black people more than people think, especially politicians, because if they really think that they voted, because they like them, that's not why we overwhelmingly did what we did as a group.
Mm-hmm.
We want racism to end on the left and the right side in the whole body of government, not just switch it over.
Right.
Or switch it out.
Right. Let me ask you this.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we are. I just hope, because I already know it's coming. If Biden is announced tomorrow, if he hasn't already, because I haven't looked at the news yet, if he has been announced the president, I guarantee you, you may see Black folks out in the streets doing the WAP, popping their booties.
I don't know, because I don't know about, listen, Wilmington, they said right now we're the most dangerous place to be in this country, because of the plots, because I don't live too far from the riverfront, right? I can basically walk there, and the security here is off the chain.
Yeah, because
and it's gotten worse.
Because the reason why it's getting worse, I don't know if you heard the announcement today. This is why Biden's going to get announced as the winner, because they said earlier today on the news that a lot of Secret Service and a lot of that is coming into where you are. They're watching the skies over Biden's home. So you got a lot of this.
I saw them.
They're coming in.
I drove out there by Biden.
That's why you got what's happening in where you live at right now, because they see that Biden is going to be the president. And so now they're surrounding him with security, because remember, during this election, you had some of these Trump voters or supporters who were talking all of this. I think they were talking about, almost like they were wanting to put death threats on the man. And I do believe there's going to be some. I do believe that there's going to be some anarchy in the streets by Trump supporters.
Let me explain how Wilmington is, right? Wilmington is 97% Black. Where the riverfront is located,
yes,
he's like in the middle of a chessboard.
Okay.
If they come in the city, right, with that type of foolishness, it's I hate to say it, because other places, they were just marching, but these people here, they're not going to have that.
Okay.
Biden is going to be surrounded by 97% Black people. I don't mean any.
Oh, I'm.
But it's
okay.
It's going to be a.
All right, Doug. Let me just read something in the chat room, because folks are in the chat room. Let me say peace to everybody in the chat room. Doug says there is a official recount in Georgia. I was aware of that as well. Let me see. The guy from Texas says, I believe Biden passed the presidency to Kamala anyway, that he'll pass it on to her. Yeah, people were saying that he may only run for one term, and then the goal is to prep her to become the next potential president, to get into the what people have been waiting for, which is a female president. I think they are going to prepare her for that. I think that's what's going to happen next go around. But check this out, everybody. I've been saying this. I haven't been hearing this too much. You do realize if Trump loses this election, that in 2024, if his health is still okay,
he can run again.
He can still run again. And check this out. Check this out. People may laugh at that and say impossible. No, it's not impossible, because he, like Biden, he got more votes than anybody in history running as a person in second, and he has a strong base. So if he stays healthy enough, we could be seeing this individual try to run again, and he has a base to back him up, or he might try to get his daughter to run for president, female president. That's going to come. Absolutely. That's going to come, folks. You heard it right here on the Information Man Show.
I really think Ivanka is the trophy moving forward.
Right. Brother, you had got cut off because I'm about to put a crescendo on this pretty soon. What are your thoughts as we conclude, brother?
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, I'm glad you called back, though, man.
Saying that Biden he should have chose Stacey Abrams. I think that that would have actually drawn a lot of people. She doesn't really have a history like corruption, and she was like real instrumental in fighting voter suppression. So he would have easily got my vote with her as his VP pick. But the issue I have is that throughout the campaign, like Kamala said, she wasn't, for what I've heard, she said she wasn't for reparations. And then with Joe Biden, it's like, do you really trust him to do the sit downs between foreign leaders? Like, you got to be rational. He kind of seemed like he got dementia or something. Like, I've seen him do some of his speeches and he forgets the sentences. Right. He doesn't know where he's at.
Guess what, brother?
So that's the issue. That's the issue for me.
Guess what, brother? Ronald Reagan was president for 8 years, and some believe that he had full-blown Alzheimer's within his presidential, and there were other people that were making certain key decisions because he was starting to lose his mind. I wouldn't be surprised if what you're saying is true, but guess what? That's why Kamala Harris is there. Let me tell you why I know this. I believe this. How many of you, and you heard it here, you heard it here. How many of you remember when Kamala Harris was campaigning, or when she was kind of campaigning when he first announced her, and she was doing these little press conferences, or she was on stage. One time she was on stage and she slipped at the mouth and said, "My administration."
Absolutely.
She did a Florian, or whatever they call it. She did a slip. I believe that slip out of her mouth was the fact that she is going to be the goddamn administration. When Biden ain't thinking right, believe me, they're not gonna tell us up front. They're gonna do that shit behind the scenes. Hell, let's be honest. Do you think that Trump? Do you think he's all there too? I think Trump is a little bit out to lunch as well sometimes.
I really think that Kamala is going to be there. However, I think that Obama is going to run the show again.
You think so behind the scenes? Probably.
I think Obama is going to have more power and more pull and more say-so of what's about to take place than Kamala.
Right. Well, you do. Well, wait a minute,
you mean like
that's powerful. Right. But wait a minute.
Absolutely.
That's very powerful because they were at the hip with each other. I wouldn't be surprised if he gives Obama a key position in his administration. Wait a minute. I got two ways I see it. He might give him a key position in his administration outward, or he might have a key position on the under that we don't even know about, like you just said, where he's advising him. Right.
Absolutely.
And check this out. This is the rumor right now. There's people out there that think that he should appoint Hillary Clinton as Attorney General, and that Stacey Abrams. I'm not saying her name right. I apologize to her. Abrams, yeah. There's some that's saying that she should probably be the president or the person that runs the DNC. I've been hearing that. I heard that thrown out there in the media today.
Oh, yeah, the chair.
Yeah. Well, these people gonna have some prominent roles. I tell you that. They're gonna have some roles. But this is the thing. If he gonna put them black folks, because he did say out of his mouth that he wants to make his cabinet look like America. And if he does make it look like America and black folks are voting the way we are, damn it, they got to break. We gotta make them break us off something.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and if they do that, they won't have a problem with being the president for Democratic presidents forever. But they can't just keep abusing us this way, you know?
Right. Well, let me see. Brother, the guy from Texas says he doesn't think that Trump will run again. Yeah, he'll be kind of up there in age, too. That's why I said if he's healthy enough. But then we got discussions with Dana. She says not. She believes not. So anyway, you know what? I'm going to have to shut it down as much as I want to continue talking to you great people here. Great black folks, great family we got here.
Great show.
Let me shut it down and give me a little bit of sleep. I appreciate you coming on as always, Sister G. Scott. And brother, say your name again.
Oh, Mike.
Mike, have you been following my channel lately, or are you new subscriber or a newcomer to the channel?
No, I've been following your channel for about a year now.
Oh, I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, because I'm a very humble brother. I appreciate when people are actually watching the content. This is what I'm gonna do next Tuesday, and I'm gonna try to go on a little bit earlier if I can. I'm gonna get into I'm gonna break out the immigration numbers and the issues that we are faced with going into the future that will definitely make you scratch your head. So I appreciate you calling in, brother Mike. I appreciate you, G. Scott. Come again. Go ahead.
You guys have a great evening. Well, morning.
Okay.
Here.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you as always, G. Scott. I appreciate your support as always. Go ahead, brother Mike.
You as well.
Yeah. I was going to say same thing. Thank you for having me. I was just going to say just real quick. That's going to be the Democrats' problem because working class people they're fed up. That's why the pool, like Trump, we can't ignore that Trump pulled more black supporters than previous Republican presidents.
Right. That's what, before you go, brother, because I want to get a male point of view on this. I put on the screen earlier. Let me put it back on the screen again. And I want to get your honest,
I caught that last
your honest thoughts. I want to get your honest opinion about this. Black males vote for Trump has increased from 13% in 2016 to 18%. That's what it was this year. What is your thoughts about that? And then for black women, it moved up to 8% from 4%. What are your thoughts? I mean, I know black men are saying, hey, we can't be on a Democratic plantation forever. We got to try different things. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think that I think that people overshadow like his personality, the shit that he says. But I think if you look at policy, a lot of people were like policy wise, Trump did do the criminal justice and the HBCU funding. And you look at Biden policy wise, he said that he didn't want his kids growing up in a racial jungle. He signed not only the 94 crime bill, but the Patriot Act. Right. And I think it was 2 other crime bills before that. And he has not apologized for the crime bill. He never said, I'm going to repeal the crime bill. He just...
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, he actually voted on the on the Patriot Act. That was something that was put together by the Bush Jr. administration, but he agreed to it. Yeah. But guess what? There was a lot of those black politicians in the Congressional Black Caucus that signed off on that too. But let me say this here. The issue around Donald Trump as it relates to, I was going over this just the other day, Donald Trump and the prison reform. You do know, brother, that there are more people, particularly black men, that are in state prisons than there are in federal. And that his prison reform was mainly for federal prisons. The reason why I know this for a fact, because I'm in California and I work as a therapist and I deal with guys in the prison system in California. I have seen thousands and hundreds of guys over the years. I've been in the system for over 18 years. So most of the guys in the state of,
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Thank you, brother. Most of the guys in California that are in prison, that are getting out of prison, it's not because of Donald Trump's initiative, his law. It's because of state law. In California, it was Jerry Brown who proposed to let out guys out of prison who had non-violent offenses and things of that nature. And then Gavin Newsom came into office as governor of California, and he continued to push it. So a lot of black men and men in general in prison in the state of California, because we incarcerate more people than anybody, most of them are getting out due to state laws that we voted for in the state. Had nothing to do with Donald Trump. His thing has to do with federal penitentiaries. And yes, it has. This is how many people have been let out. And I got to be honest, can't be a liar about this. About over 300, I think it's 300,000. I think it's 3,100 and something people have been released out of federal penitentiaries due to Donald Trump's bill or his initiative, executive order. Do I think it's a good thing if they didn't do violence? Yeah, especially if you got brothers in prison who didn't do the crime and it chumped up charges. I agree with that. But I think a lot of times people, when they think about what he did, they think that it's all prison in the whole country. Not true. Just federal. But that's a start.
Well, and that's 100%. I agree with everything you said, and you actually taught me something. I didn't know it was just for federal, but I also know in that bill he made it so that women giving birth weren't chained to the bed as well.
Right,
and I also know, because I know people, and I know people say, and then on top of that, with the economy, and this is the thing, I just want people to be unbiased, and that's why I appreciate your show, because you stick to the facts. Because when you bring up the fact that the unemployment or the employment and unemployment rates were good and steady for his first, up until COVID, people say, oh, well, that started under Obama. But then people bring up the kids in the cages. And then when you say, well, Obama's administration set that up, everyone's like, oh, you're just bringing up Obama. Why? How come you always, when we talk about Trump, you say, and I'm like, I'm being balanced. Obama, who personally was my favorite president, but he could have did a lot more. He did a lot of drone strikes that killed a bunch of innocent civilians. Right. He didn't end the war on drugs, and he didn't end the Iraq war as well. So it's dirt on both sides, but I like to focus on policy.
Right.
I think if Lyndon Baines Johnson had Twitter, he probably would sound 10 times as worse as Donald Trump.
Well, yeah, most of those politicians in the past would sound just like Donald Trump to me. Yeah. Donald Trump to me, I'm being 100% honest with you, brother. Donald Trump to me is a throwback from the past. A lot of those presidents in the 60s and 50s, like LB, they were just like Donald Trump. The only difference is they didn't have social media and news media wasn't like it was today, right? Where everything they say out of their mouth, gets magnified that much further. So I see him as he's a throwback. He grew up in the biggest media market in New York.
He grew up in the 60s.
Right, but remember,
he grew up in the 50s or in the 60s.
Right, remember this too, brother. The reason why Donald Trump is so good with manipulating the media, because he lived in the biggest media market in the country. What's that? New York. So he knows how to manipulate the media. He's a genius at that. I got to be honest. He does manipulate the media, and the media. Let me be honest with you too. The media is just as much to blame, because remember when he was running, he was great for television, great for ratings. They were putting all this attention on him. When Hillary would speak somewhere, they were on Donald Trump. So the same media that Donald Trump criticizes is the same media that was kissing his butt because he was good for their ratings. So they would love to put him on camera.
Well, you got to think. but you got to think, and I know you ready to KO. I know.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm glad we're having this discussion. I hope we could talk some other time. Chop it up. Donald Trump ran against Hillary, who was like a seasoned politician. She was politically correct. She didn't like, and that's why a lot of people said Bernie ran against Trump. They were both like kind of radical in the sense of they had energy, they had charisma, Bernie was consistent as far as going after Wall Street. Trump just says whatever he thinks. You can't run someone who says whatever they think against someone who's a seasoned like politician who says everything politically correct. Because let's be honest, people don't trust that. Like people don't trust that as much as they did before, because we can fact check. Like we can go back and, like Doug said in your comments about Clinton when she was Secretary of State going after Myanmar Gaddafi, we can pull up everybody's record and stuff.
Right. Obama. Let me read what he's saying. Obama
in politics.
Okay. Let me read what he said here. Brother Doug said Obama and Clinton also liked Benghazi. That led to slavery in Libya. Right. I agree with that. To give over billions of dollars. Wow. Good points, Doug. Doug always brings it to the table.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We can go back and pull up their records. And as far as Trump, everyone's like, "Oh, Trump's racist." I think he just doesn't like poor people. He was hanging out with Diddy. He was hanging out with 50 Cent. He was hanging out with, like, I've lived in the country around rural racists. Like, I'll kill you. They don't interact. They try their very best to not interact with black people at all. So I truly think he just don't like poor people. And I think that they're what they're doing is trying to get poor white people against, or working class whites against working class, blacks, minorities, and have us go at it while they're getting capital, they're getting more power.
But you do know. Let me just say this, brother. Let me educate you on something. You do know that came out of the Southern strategy, where you look at. This is how the Republicans have been able to manipulate poor white people in the South. LB said this. He said that if you give them someone to look down upon, in that case it was black people, and you make them feel that they're not getting jobs and not having a good life because this other group is taking something from them. In this case, it was black people. White men in the South who were poor, uneducated, they felt that black men were taking opportunity away from them. So you give them someone to hate, to look down upon, and they will pick their pockets for you. When I look at white people who are voting for Trump, who are uneducated, you got to ask yourself, he just gave the rich a 1% tax break. He didn't give that to the poor white man who voted for him for 67%. Now, let me look at this. Let me look at this. You mentioned the rappers, and Trump is just not, he doesn't like poor people. Let me give you this perspective, brother. Would you say or not say that Donald Trump is a transactional individual? Would you say yes to that or no?
You got to teach me that.
What do I mean by transactional? Donald Trump is a transactional individual.
No, I know what transactional.
Politics is transactional, meaning he doesn't do anything without getting something. Now, when he's hanging out, when we look at those pictures from the 80s and 90s, when he was hugged up with rappers or politicians, once again, Donald Trump is transactional. Why was he hugged up with those folks? Because Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, they were getting something from Trump, and Trump was getting something from them. When you look at rappers, same thing. A lot of these guys grew up looking at Donald Trump on the lifestyles of the rich and famous, right? Remember Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous? Are you there? I guess he dropped off.
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you remember Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous? How old are you, brother?
No, I'm in my 20s.
Okay, I'm 50 years old. This is where see I didn't like Trump before he became president because Trump has a history, brother. Lifestyles and Rich and Famous is where a lot of the rappers and a lot of people begin to like Donald Trump. This is way before The Apprentice. There was a show with this English talking fella where they would display all the rich people. And Donald Trump was a big fixture on this program because he lived lavishly, right? And they would show his tower and the crystals in the wall. And so Trump became this real popular guy off of that show in the things that he was doing, building buildings. And a lot of the kids that grew up like myself, we grew up watching that and saying, wow, I want to be like Trump. Look at all that stuff he's got. Look at all the bling bling. So those same rappers grew up and they were very excited to want to meet Donald Trump because Donald Trump exemplified all that bling bling and living high off the hog that they were trying to gain. So when you see rappers with him and were singing his praises in their music, it's because at that time, he represented something that they wanted. Money, access. So a lot of those rappers that were taking photos with him, they were also trying to get something out of Donald Trump, some opportunity. Donald Trump was also using them for what? What does Donald Trump do right now? Photo ops. Let me take a picture with this rapper, this black politician, so it makes me look a certain way, quote unquote, to the black community. Now, when you get behind all that veil of his imagery with rappers and politicians, and you go deeper into his history, you will recognize the fact that not only was he discriminative towards the Central Park Five, meaning he took out $5,000 ads, he called them animals, and he never apologized to them once they were found to be not guilty of that crime. But remember, Donald Trump was in the process of building apartments in New York, or some apartment building, and he didn't want low-income people in the apartment building. And I think something happened where he was made to make some low-income apartments available. And do you know he had the audacity to come up with an idea that he wanted to have the poor, low-income people not be able to come through the front door of the building, but they had to go through a back door. Guess who a lot of those people were, brother? See, a lot of Negroes on YouTube, a lot of black folks on YouTube who get to talking about how they love Donald Trump, they don't know, they forget a lot of his history. The people in New York know him very well. That's why New Yorkers don't like him, and they didn't vote for him at high numbers. He didn't even carry his goddamn state that he was born in. But remember this, brother. Those were black people who were going to be told to walk behind the back. That's akin to what happened to us during segregation, okay? So that was one aspect of Donald Trump's racism. Let's see, his father, you know where he learned this housing discrimination from? His father. That's why the federal government was suing him at one point in time, because he was trying to keep people like me and you out of his apartment buildings. And his father was what? His father was an associate member of the damn Ku Klux Klan. He was out there fighting the police with the Klan back in the 1920s. Young Donald Trump, Fred Trump. That's where Donald Trump learned a lot of this stuff from. Oh, we forget when he had the casino and other businesses, he said out of his own mouth that he wouldn't have no black person be no accountant of his money for him. Oh, yeah. See, Negroes forget about that as they praise Donald Trump. That. Oh, yeah, well, I know that. See, you got to do research on these people, man. See, what happens is... But Go ahead. So I did know about his housing discrimination, and it was a lawsuit for that. I did know about that. Right.
And I think they won. But I think that's tricky, because you have to think, as black people, we also if we buy a house, the property values in that area lowers too. So I think it was also a financial incentive type of thing. I'm not saying it's unethical. Yeah, that shit's unethical as hell. But I also think that he equally doesn't give a damn about hillbilly type white folks as well. I don't think he gives a damn about them either.
Trump only gives a damn about himself and his family. You're right.
Yeah, and being associated with other rich, wealthy people. Like
right.
the term poor white trash comes from rich white people. It wasn't black people calling them white trash. It was rich white people. They were like, the poor white trash that make us look bad. Like that comes from wealthy white people. And I think that
right. And the go ahead, brother.
Yeah.
And let me educate you on this. The term redneck. A lot of people don't know where that came from. We had immigrants that came over here. I think they were Italian They were immigrants. They wore red scarves around their neck, and they were protesting. It was during the time when they were, unionizing jobs and all this kind of stuff. People were fighting for better wages. So the rednecks were actually Europeans that came here and migrated. And they got the term, they were given the term rednecks because of the scarves around their neck. That's where the term redneck really came from. Look that up, brother. Look these things up. See, the problem.
Absolutely, and I make sure I do my.
Let me tell you something. The problem with you.
I make sure I do my research too.
The problem with YouTube is that you have some people on YouTube who talk about these issues and they give you data, they give you information, and you know that they're well researched. Then you got people who talk emotionally about things, but they don't give you concrete information, history, or even data to reinforce what they're saying. If you go online right now and look at the history of the word redneck, where it arrived from, it went from something that was a part of a group of Europeans, and then it rolled into something negative later on down the line. Just like the swastika. The swastika at one point in time was a Native American symbol, even African type symbol, and then they turned it into a negative hate symbol, right?
Yeah, I know, I agree, and I think, and that's why I do my research. It's all types of, like, Italians and Irish was considered black at one point,
right? Until
they realized we were going to band together, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Oh wait, no, y'all could be considered white."
Right.
But even and that's my thing. Even still, though, when it's like Chicago, they still were monitoring Italians as different. But
right.
But on, like, in terms of court, in terms of being arrested, they were given the title of being white. And other stuff too, like, at one point, if you were darker, it was considered negative because it means you had to work, you had an outside job.
Right.
Now, if you're tanner, it's seen as you can afford to go to the beach. You can afford to pay for tanning appointments and stuff like that.
Right.
So I definitely do my research when it comes to stuff like that. All I'm saying is that if you put Trump and Biden side by side, I think Trump is more vocal about his stances, but like I said, Joe Biden back in the 90s and 80s, he said he didn't want his kids growing up in a racial jungle.
Right.
What does that mean? That literally means I don't want my white kids going to
that's
how non-white.
That's how he was thinking because of the busing. That was because that was during the time when they were doing the busing, and there was a lot of problems back in the 70s around busing. They didn't want black kids going to white schools, and to be honest with you, I don't even know why. I don't know why black people at that time thought it was in the best interest. Not all black people agreed with busing. Let me correct myself here. I don't know why some black people thought that it was good to send their kids, black people, to school with white people who did not like them and think that education was going to be good for us in that situation. Do you know that the educational system went downhill for black people the minute we integrated into white schools? Because when we were in all black schools, we had black teachers who gave a damn about us and made sure that we were educated. The minute we send our kids to integrate into the white schools, how did we in our mind think that white teachers who were racist, how did we think in our mind that they were going to be in the best interest of our kids? They weren't. Matter of fact, you know who's on the front line of racism and white supremacy? It's the white woman. Because where do black boys get their first labeling, brother? In school, by white female teachers who label black male children as hyperactive. That's where it starts. That's where the prisoner pipeline starts, because the majority of teachers in school are females, or white females in particular, who have a disposition, a certain disposition as the way they see black males. You know why I know this firsthand? Because when I was in school, what do they do to black males? They'll put you in special education classes. They'll say you're hyperactive, you're aggressive, all these things that they use on black men.
Right. Yeah, I got sent to the principal's office because I couldn't keep still, but I had really good grades.
Right.
He can't keep still. He's always causing trouble. I'm like, I can't help I can't help that I have testosterone. Like I can't help that. And I agree with you. I think it's multi-layered. I think some of it is people, Black people back then. It's right to want equality. You fight for this country in the military. You contribute. You pay taxes. So I think some of it was, well, our kids are just as good as the white kids, so they should go to the same school.
Right.
I also think some of it was like, you look at, some of it also was like opportunity and funding. If the white school got a pool and the white school has a gym and the white school, got certain things and your school don't, I think people internalize that as, oh, well, the closer, the more proximity with, white people and stuff, I can get more things.
Right.
And, we've seen that with integration, people just stop buying at Black businesses just because of, it could be the same products, but people will, and I think that's the insecurity thing of not feeling, I guess, equal to, and I agree with you. It does start at a young age.
Well,
so
brother,
yeah, I agree with you on that. And I worked at the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay, cool.
The community center for 5 years, and then after that, I became an EMT.
Okay.
So I definitely completely understand with what you're saying.
Okay. Well, look, brother, this is what we're gonna do because a lot of folks are saying they're ready to hit the bid. I'll be doing more shows like this where I'll have a call-in line. So be sure to if you catch me live again like this, definitely call in when I put that out there and we can have more discussion. Let me leave you with this, brother, because I don't want you to think that I don't get what you're saying. Let me leave you with this. I realize that Black people have had to deal with many white men in that White House, not just Trump. So even though you got Black people will say, well, Trump is a racist, and then people will say, well, wait a minute, why y'all just talking about Trump? Wait a minute. We've had to deal with every white man in that White House that was a racist. Dr. King, those in the civil rights movement had to deal with racist white men in the White House. And it's no different today. So I do agree that we can't get emotional because we know what the score is. What we need to do is make them do what we want them to do by putting pressure on them. Because when LB signed the 1964 or 65 Voters' Right Act, that was because Dr. King and those that were a part of that civil rights movement, they made him do it. They put pressure on him, and he was as racist as they all come. So same thing with Trump, same thing with Biden. It doesn't matter. We got to make them do it, and none of them going to be our friends. And I agree with you on that level. So with that said, brother, I'm about to end the program.
And that's my issue.
Okay.
And
I agree.
And that's
we
my
on the same
issue.
page.
It's just that we can't get comfortable because my whole thing is with the Democrats is it's like they're might be equally racist, but they just are more covert about it. They're more sneaky.
I've been saying it on my show.
Smile
they
and take pictures with you.
Right. They screw you with Vaseline, and the other party screws you without Vaseline. What I can appreciate about the Republican Party is that they'll tell you, we don't like you. We ain't doing nothing for you. Get off your ass. We're not giving you no welfare programs. Whereas the Democrats will say, I like you. We're not racist. We're going to give you all the programs you want. And while they're acting like they like you and they're giving you a couple of crumbs on the table, they're doing everything to screw you over. Look, like I said tonight, look at what they're doing to Black people. They're marginalize us. You heard what I played tonight. Did you see the video? They asked Joe Biden a direct question when he was running to get the nomination to run for president. What about reparations for Black people? And he jumped all into this whole talk about immigrants. That's a complete disrespect to us. And when he gets into office, we've got to hold his feet to the fire. And we can't go when we got to hold his feet to the fire and demand the reparations and every damn thing else we got coming to us. And we got to demand it without him going into this talk about immigrants. And well, what I want to do is I want to create a program that will be good for all people that could trickle down to Black people. No, you don't say that to the LGBTQ. You don't say that to the Hispanics that want the DACA program. But when it comes to Black people, every time we ask for what we deserve, it's all this trickle down bull crap. No, we ain't going for that.
It's put on the back. It's put on the back burner. And I know you're getting ready to wrap. All I'm going to say is it's millions and millions of acres of land.
Right.
We don't even have to get reparations. That's a paycheck. Just give us some land and we'll be good. Give us some land in the crib. We'll be good.
Right, brother. Well, brother, have a good night. Get some rest. I know it's late for people all over the country. And so that was Brother Mike. And I want to thank Brother Mike we had a great conversation there. I'm tired though, folks, but we had a great conversation. I want to thank Scott for coming in, blessing us with some knowledge. Doug's got to go to bed. Everybody's got to go to bed. Oh, and I got my brother Chaos Rain who's coming to the house. Peace to you. The guy from Texas, black man. There's probably a lot of people that didn't left the stream now because, they're tired. For me, it's 11 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock as you can see back here in the West Coast. So for me, it's pretty early for me still because I'm a night owl anyway. I'll go to bed in a little bit. Thank you for coming over and listening. I need you all to do me the biggest favor. As I said before, I need you to share this video in all of your social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you're on. Please put it on there because I think more people need to see this and hear what I'm talking about, the presentation, because like I said, the Democratic Party, they continue to marginalize, underestimate, undervalue black voters. Biden is where he is because of black people. You saw the numbers tonight, all the numbers compared to other racial groups, black people, women and men, black men and women, we still outvote other groups, other racial groups by the numbers more than anybody. Yet the Democratic Party keeps talking about everybody else that they're going to do something for while patronizing black people, patronizing us. And we're not going for it. Not going for it at all. We can't afford to go for it. With that said, this is the Information Man show. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. We're going to get ready to get on out of here. And peace and love. I thank you for hanging in there with me tonight. And again, subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, tell friends, family, and those that you know about the program. And go right ahead and share this video, this program in your social media. I would appreciate it. So with that said, have a good night, everybody. Peace and love to you. Let me turn something off here. Here we go.
I've been feeling emotional, thinking about you, babe. What can we focus on? What we should do? Tell me the truth, 'cause I don't wanna see you with somebody else. And I've been feeling lonely in this king-size bed. I'm trying not to worry about the things you say. I ain't got the time, you're always on my mind. Baby, why you playing with my love? I'm trying to be patient with you now. I'll never be sober if you don't pull me closer. Look me in my eyes and tell me how. I'm hypnotized. I'm hypnotized. I've been feeling delusional.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Your body's so beautiful. All I want is your love. Can't get enough.
Information is power.
And I've been feeling lonely in this king-size bed. I'm trying not to worry about the things you say. I ain't got the time, you're always on my mind. Baby, why you playing with my love? I'm trying to be patient with you now. I'll never be sober if you don't pull me closer. Look me in my eyes and tell me how. I'm hypnotized. I'm hypnotized.
I know I got issues. Hate you, then I miss you again. Selfish, I can be so selfish. Spend more time when meeting your friends. Please forgive my attitude. I want my cake and eat it too. But a little grace would be enough for me to prove that, baby, you're the remedy. You're my mirror, I can finally see, bringing out the best in me, yeah. I don't want no problems, but I know I got a lot of work to do. Baby, I'm not perfect, but I know I'm worth it, working out my issues with you, with you. Crutches, I be holding crutches, can't let go of any mistakes. Distant, sometimes I get distant, stay away as long as it takes. Forgive my attitude, I need my cake and eat it too. But a little time will be enough for me to prove that, baby, you're the remedy. You're my mirror, I can finally see, bringing out the best in me, yeah. I don't want no problems, but I know I got a lot of work to do. Baby, I'm not perfect, but I know I'm worth it, working out my issues with you, with you. My highs and my lows is part of being human. Can you weather the storm? I'm starting to believe you can, 'cause baby, you the remedy. You're my mirror, I could finally see, bringing out the best in me, yeah. I don't want these problems, I know I got a lot of work to do. Baby, I'm not perfect, but I know I'm worth it, working out my issues with you, with you. You love it when I get so high and drop that ass so low. Make you sit right here, now you can't go back home. You love it when I get so high and drop that ass so low. Make you sit right here, now you can't go back home. You love it when I get so high and drop that ass so low. Make you sit right here, now you can't go back home. You love it when I get so high and drop that ass so low. Make you sit right here.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
You bend it down and you poke it up and you elevate it. I'm chained up and I'm banked up and I'm elevated. You bend it down and you poke it up and you elevate it, you elevate it.
I came over, I ain't sober, I'm still drunk, that's hangover. Might run it back when this page over. You the best thing, I done slaved over. Gon' arch your back and been way over. It's overdue for that understressing. Over him, now you underdressing. Call me up and I come finessing. Like, ooh, we shot it, what it do, what it don't. Baby, you a queen, you can move how you want. You was rocking with me when I couldn't stay afloat. They ain't never saying nothing wavy to a boat. Like, eyes up, look at me, now I'm the captain. Brought the camera, time for action. Split the legs just like a fraction. Tuck tuck the napkin, time for snacking. You a motherfucking meal. Tell me that it's mine, baby, tell me that it's real. Hit it to the max, well, tell me how it feel. It's gonna be a minute, cause I'm in it for the thrill. Make her feel like heaven, she gon' put me in the wheel. And willingly, I wanna do anything she wanna do. I ain't even wanna boo, but this is what the karma do. It's hard to be apart from you, cause ooh, I
love it when I get so high and drop that ass so low.
Power.
Make you sit right here. Now you can't go back home. You love it when I get so high and drop that ass so low. Make you sit right here. Nah, you can't go back home.
I'm dranked up and I'm danked up and I'm hella faded. You bend it down and you poke it up and you elevate it. I'm dranked up and I'm danked up and I'm hella faded. You bend it down
You
and
are
you poke
listening
it up
to
and you
Information
elevate
Man.
it.
Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Okay, I was about to end the program, but now I can't because Sister Back to the Basics has dropped a $10 super chat. I appreciate that. As a result, I must get us all pumped up with the super chat money. Super chat music. And thank you.
Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for that as always. Here we go.
Play, you should get worried. One false move, find yourself there getting buried. That's what the devil used to love playing those games. Made some bad decisions that brought my mama pain. I made a promise to her, swore that I would change. I'm on the come up, bet I live up to my name. I wake up, flex, I'm down now, check. No drip, this wet, tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest, might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch, tell 'em run it up. I wake up, flex, I'm down now, check. No drip, this wet, tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest, might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch, tell 'em run it up.
Thank you. Back to the Basics. Thank you very much. Let me bring that down. I want to thank you very much for the super chat. I know you came in a little bit late. Look at the repeat. Let me say peace again to RY, Black Man, the guy from Texas, Back to the Basics. We got RY who came in. Thank you, everybody. I'm about to take my butt to sleep now. Take care.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Thank you for the super chat.
is tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information is power.